team. It is an absolute thrill. It was when I was 20 years old and I was asked, and to be able to do it now at 30.
We feel we can compete with anybody. We feel like we're at the top of our game. We're the best players.
We certainly have always had good players, enough to put one good team together, but we haven't had the experience.
To play for your country and play for millions of people. And probably the biggest sporting event, you know, that we know in the Olympics. It's really special.
They play the game with intensity. They play the game with pride. They can make the clutch plays. They can deliver the ultimate prize. The United States is sending its best hockey players to Japan in hopes of striking Olympic gold. But as the torch burns in Nagano, these players have to remember. Next week they play as countrymen, but tonight they play as rivals. In days gone by, young hockey players in the United States could dream of being in the National Hockey League or the Olympics, because if you were lucky enough to get to the NHL, you couldn't play in the Olympics, but now they can follow in the footsteps of the likes of Jeremy Roenick, as he'll be going to the Olympics, and so will 9 others in this matchup tonight as the New York Rangers, 1 win in their last 8, take on the Phoenix Coyotes. Hi, everybody. Dave Strader along with Bill Clement. And, of course, Bill, it is a great honor to be selected to represent your country in the Olympics. But as Colin Campbell has reminded his struggling team many times of late, it's an honor to play in the National Hockey League.
How about getting the 2 points before we shove off for the Olympics? That's what both these teams want. How many teams do we know in the NHL that are actually whining for scoring on 2 lines? If we can only score on 2 lines, guess what? Both of these teams can do that. The New York Rangers, led by Wayne Gretzky on their first line, who leads their team in scoring, have scoring up front. On the second line, a guy that's also going to the Olympics for Team USA, Pat LaFontaine. So that's about the only thing the Rangers have done well this year, is scored on 2 lines. Phoenix, same idea. They got Jeremy Roenick on 1 line, Keith Tkachuk on the other line. The big difference between Roenick and Tkachuk and Gretzky and LaFontaine is that Roenick and Tkachuk bring a real physical presence to the ice level.
Well, in 1980, when the U.S. won the gold medal, Bill, it was considered a miracle on ice. But that changes this year. In the eyes of many, the Americans are the favorites because of players like this, Keith Tkachuk and Jeremy Roenick. These 2 All-Americans lead the Coyotes against the Rangers, coming up next.
It is showtime, baby. This game has speed. What an explosion of skating strength. This game has skill. Have you seen a better performance than that? Oh, wow. This game has power. Too big, too strong, too much. What a play!
What a show.
ESPN's coverage of National Hockey Night is brought to you by Wendy's Big Bacon Classic. You can taste the difference fresh makes. By the new Dodge, it's about change. By Russell Stover Candies. Nobody does chocolate like Russell Stover does chocolate. And by Zales, the Diamond and Valentine gift store.
The NHL 5.5 hours away from their winter break and about 5.5 hours away from Barry Melrose's well-deserved vacation.
Oh, I need it,
Barry, I'm Steve Levy, holding down the fort on National Hockey Night. Busiest day in NHL history. Everybody's in action, including Rangers and Coyotes we'll see tonight.
Well, if I'm the New York Rangers, I'm not worried about the Olympics. I'm not worried about my holiday. I'm worried about getting some wins. If this team loses tonight and Ottawa and Buffalo win, there's a 7-point swing there. That's a lot of room to make up, only 25 games when they come back. This team has got to start getting some positive things happening for them, or they're going to get ready for the next Olympics after this one. They better get going.
All right, we'll have 12 scores and highlights and much more. Barry's fun analysis all coming up in our first intermission. Now to Dave, Bill, and the well-traveled Brian Engblom. Guys.
All right, thanks very much, Steve and Barry. We'll be hearing from you guys a little bit later on in the telecast as we are here at the America West Arena. To borrow a term from baseball, it's getaway day for the entire National Hockey League as everybody goes on this historic break. And how will these teams respond, especially the guys that are going to be key figures in the upcoming Olympics, like Wayne Gretzky making his first Olympic appearance representing Team Canada.
Well, I tell you, there's no way that the 2 points in tonight's game isn't more important than what's ahead. I mean, Keith Tkachuk, Wayne Gretzky, they know they need the points. I will be shocked if there isn't a bunch of energy in this hockey game for the 2 points.
All right, to Olympians out there opposing each other, Gretzky and Tkachuk, as we get this thing underway. And here comes Bruce Driver, number 33 for the Rangers, sending it deep into the Phoenix zone. Daryl Diddick is back to get it. He and Teppo Numminen will be the top defensive pairing for Coach Jim Schoenfeld. We'll keep an eye on which line he elects to go up against of the two big ones. That puck takes a strange hop off the board. Daryl Diddick got there for the Coyotes. Now it is picked up by Craig Janney, outstanding playmaker. Sends it ahead now for Tkachuk. And slaps it deep into the Rangers zone. Richter started to come out and play it. Knew that Leach was there. Diddick pinching in aggressively, but Graves gets it by him. And here come the Rangers back the other way. Tkachuk coming back on Graves, breaks the play up. It rolls into the Phoenix zone, and now the play whistle offside. Let's go downstairs to Brian Engblom. Brian?
Thanks, Dave. In our spotlight tonight, we're going to watch several of the great players in tonight's game. One of them will definitely be Wayne Gretzky. We'll compare him to some of his teammates and about his stick handling style, his ability to handle the puck, one of the things that makes him so great and voted the #1 player of all time. We'll focus on the hands, his stick, and everything that makes him and gives him that ability to move the puck around so well. We'll get a real flavor for Wayne Gretzky's style by the end of the night, guys.
All right, Brian, it's going to be interesting to see how you deal with his brain. How are you going to give us a shot of his brain? You'll be able to handle everything else. I mean, Wayne has obviously been the most dominant offensive player ever, and part of it is just how he thinks the game better than anybody. But Brian will be able to get into some of the tangibles, the stick, the skating style, that kind of stuff.
Here is Roenick now making a move around LaFontaine. Puck though recovered by old Samuelson. Back in the lineup for a couple of games, number 5 for the Rangers after missing one with a knee injury he sustained in San Jose last Monday night. Roenick with a center pass. Dallas Drake with a chance. Put it right over the glove of Richter, who appeared surprised by that high shot off the stick of Dallas Drake.
Dave, you hear some of the fans went boo. It was for Bookaboo on the big hit. There are tons of Rangers fans here.
Here is Dallas Drake. He is run into by Kevin Stevens. Now here's Darren Shannon putting it in front, one off the Ranger stick. I think it was Mike Keane who was trying to block the centering pass. He almost put it into his own net. Here is Roenick getting a bit of a pick there from Dallas Drake. Now Stevens for the Rangers slapping at it. Tebernowski. His shot did not get through. Stevens knocks Tebernowski to the ice. Now here comes Rick Ronning. Good shift here for the Coyotes. A chance now. Shot saved made by Richter. And Norm McIver moving in for the point. Ronning a centering pass. Knocked away by Samuelson. Here's McIver again. Penalty coming against the Rangers. A delayed call. Javi Bourne doesn't realize it. Now he sprints for the bench. Will the Coyotes get their 6th skater on Tebernowski's high shot? Look out. It ends up about 20 rows into the crowd. And we're going to get a holding penalty against the New York Rangers.
Boy, and I'll tell you what, exactly what Jim Schoenfeld wanted. I mean, he's a dump and chase, aggressive forecheck, cycling low kind of coach. That's the kind of team he thinks he has, and he got great results. Norm McIver had it on his stick. A fantastic save by Mike Richter, and I think for one reason. Norm McIver, I think, wanted to get rid of this right away. We may be able to see this after the great play by Ronning. Watch the puck bounce on McIver's stick. See how it was flat on the blade of the stick, and he waited to settle it down. That gave Mike Richter the split second to get across, play like this, and to stack him up. And if the puck hadn't bounced up on its edge when Norm McIver was ready to let it go, this would be a 1-0 hockey game. But a great play by Cliffy Ronning to find him over there.
The result, Samuelson off for holding the stick at 2:05, so the Phoenix Coyotes go on the power play. They were 1 for 4 in their last game here Thursday night against the Flyers, a 6-2 drubbing. Their power play, though, has been on a roll of late, 7 for 21 in the last 5 as Richter stops this Ronning drive. Rangers fail to clear. Here is Gartner getting it back, and that's deflected off the side of the net to the right of Richter. Gartner sends it back to the line. Gets the return pass now from Ronning. You got Ronning on the left point, Numminen on the right point. Here's Tkachuk with it. Puck is knocked free, and Nicholas Sundstrom will send it all the way down the ice for the Rangers.
You know, the New York Rangers penalty killing was so good at the start of the season. I mean, the one consistent thing about the Rangers has been they have been inconsistent. All of the numbers are all over the place. Their penalty killing was great at the start. Not any longer. They're going to have to dig in.
You saw the numbers on the Coyote power play that has been on a great centering pass made by Gartner, but nobody there in a white jersey, and that's an easy clear for Bill Berg of the Rangers. Here is Cliff Ronning. Ronning drives it back in as the Coyotes already have 4 scoring chances on the board. Rangers yet to record one. There's Numminen being pressured by Skrudman. Hands it off now to Janney.
Dave, I don't think the Rangers have had full possession of the puck inside Phoenix's zone, have they?
No, they have not. Here is Ronning jumping out of his puck. Second chance here now for Darren. Put a backhand, a save made by Richter on the puck. Lifted by Keane over the head of Teberdowski.
You know, we should point out that the Phoenix Coyotes came off a road trip. They played 3 games. They didn't lose one of them. They had 2 stinkers. They lost 2 consecutive games at home. They really look revved for this one.
Here is Roenick. Here's drive deflected high off the glass. Bounces out in front. And look at this. Sundstrom could have a breakaway. Dallas Drake, though, showing good speed. Cuts him off. Sundstrom never got a shot away. Great hustle by number 11, Dallas Drake. Here is Roenick. Gets the return pass from Darren Shannon. Coming late into the zone now is Jocelyn Lemieux on the backhand. Settles it down in the corner. 5 seconds left in the power play as it comes down to the point. Jocelyn Lemieux tries to send it deep. It's knocked away and cleared by the Rangers just as Samuelson steps out. Teberdowski sets up back behind his own net as the Coyotes had some chances on the power play but couldn't convert. Here is Kilger, just up from Springfield of the American Hockey League. Bounces one in on Richter. McKenzie, number 33 for Phoenix. Tried to dump it in front. That one off the skate. McKenzie again. Hands it off. Jocelyn Lemieux. Rolls it back to McKenzie again. This line cycling well deep in the Ranger zone. Now it comes to Kilger. Knocked away by Adam Graves. Chopped from him momentarily by Lemieux, but the Rangers recover and clear.
Boy, they had the cycle going. Great cycle by Phoenix. They just got it a little too high in the zone and got stuck with it.
Well, if we were concerned about having energy, certainly the Coyotes have had plenty of it, but it's scoreless early in the first.
Well, this game has been all Phoenix except for this one play. The Rangers have not scored a shorthanded goal this year. This was Sundstrom trying to outleg Dallas Drake. Couldn't do it. I asked a bunch of players this morning. I said, who's the most underrated player on the team? And Dallas Drake, Bob Corcoran. Those are the two. And Jeremy Roenick said Drake is so easy to play with.
They have played together quite a bit of late, although Roenick was pointing out that he's played with just about every other forward on the team so far this year. And it has been all Coyotes. Although nothing to show for it on the scoreboard. Bill pointed out they have lost their last 2 here on home ice, losing to Chicago earlier in the week and then Philadelphia. After they had battled to get 4 games over the 500 mark for the first time in 5 years, going back to their days as the Winnipeg Jets. And just when it looks like they're going to make a move, they lose a couple, and here comes Johan Lindbaum down, number 21 for the Rangers. Lays it across with a chance. Goes by the boards there as Eastwood couldn't get the blade of a stick on. Now here's Lindbaum again, who has not played in the last 3, but back in the lineup. With coach Colin Campbell, that puck took a strange hop off the boards, recovered by Janney. Big Janney had it slapped away by Lindbaum. Bobby Bullen out to play it. He'll try to clear it himself off the boards, and it'll be picked up by Tkachuk.
The Rangers finally got the puck in deep, and it looks like if Phoenix plays the game that they look like they want to play it, they can get the puck in deep. The line of Langdon, guys like Eastwood, Billy Berg, they're really going to be valuable people for the Rangers to try to get the play down low. Referee Lance Roberts got in the way of the play there for a short time. Now a flip pass. This is onside now for Stevens with a chance. Bobby Bullen's first shot against is a dandy, and he stops a second one here as well. Kevin Stevens breaking in on Bobby Bullen was stopped. It stays scoreless as Roenick sends it in wide of Richter. Leach checked from behind there by Darren Shannon. Shannon wrestles it away, goes to Roenick. Roenick shot to fix off the Rangers skate. It's loose in front and set wide by Dallas Drake, who sends it out in front now, and it's intercepted. LaFontaine trying to go one-on-one against Norm McIver. LaFontaine waits for the late man. Coming is Keane. Keane tries to dive through, and Cook Ronning took it away. Funny play, kind of a broken play. Both teams changing. Mike Keane just outlegged the guy coming off the Coyotes bench to get into the play.
Richter out of the net, clears it around. Chopped out by Graves. And the Rangers able to clear. Here is Numminen. Juha Jalonen, who will represent Finland in the upcoming Olympics. One of 4 Olympians on this Phoenix team. You got the 2 Americans, Tkachuk and Roenick, and you got Jalonen and Numminen, the 2 Finns. As we have an icing call here with 12:38 remaining in the first period. There is no score in the hockey game.
Well, great chances at both ends, but the point-blank chance was the one that Bobby Bullen just stopped. At the other end, Jeremy Roenick showed great agility. Took the puck on his skate, up to the stick, banked it off the post. Still no score, though. Boy, when this guy is hot, there's nobody better. And is he a workhorse for this hockey team. This was the breakaway. Just about offside, but it was onside. Good call by Jay Shears and Darren Gibbs. Both of our linesmen are mic'd tonight. We're going to try and listen in on them when we get a chance.
Jay Shears, the veteran of the two. Darren Gibbs in his first year of National Hockey League experience as a linesman. Gretzky dumps it back into the Coyote zone and picked up there by Newman, and another guy mentioned as being underrated by his Phoenix teammates. Leach's pass does not connect. Diddick trying to hold off Gretzky, and that allowed Newman in. Take it over there for the icing call.
Well, Mike Richter really turned his game around. He kind of limped along like most of the New York Rangers until he sat for about a dozen days when rookie Dan Cloutier played a few games. You combine those off days with the All-Star break, and Mike Richter came back after the All-Star break and has really, really performed well, and that bodes really well for Team USA at the Olympics. The Russian team wanted this guy, Nikolai Khabibulin. He thumbed his nose at him and said, no way. His experience was so bad during the World Cup. He said the atmosphere was so bad, the coaching was so bad. He said, I don't want to go through that again. It was not an enjoyable experience. So Khabibulin just said, forget it. I'm staying.
How about the little controversy here over the quote-unquote mystery injury with the high-powered Flyers in here on Thursday night? Khabibulin did not start. It was the rookie line count. Jay Moore with a chance. Richter the save. Loose puck sent just wide. Corkum may have gotten a piece of that and sent it wide of the Ranger goalie. Lindbaum drives it ahead, deflects off of Corkum. Darren Quinn giving chase. Bill Berg there for the Rangers as well. Johan Lindbaum trying to throw around some of that 6'3" frame of his, better than 200 pounds. Rangers like his size, want him to use it more.
Here we are again, Dave, with this hard-working group. This line, we haven't seen Wayne Gretzky's line or Pat LaFontaine be able to do very much, except for that breakaway by Kevin Stevens that was triggered by a Mike Keane pass. But this line is doing something. Here they go. They've just drawn a penalty down low.
And that was Lindbaum. I think who drew it, again, using that size as Bukaboom sends it deep. And it'll be touched up by Jay Moore, and we are going to have a power play coming up. But first, let's send it back to our studios with Steve Levy. Steve?
All right, Dave, thanks. The new Dodge takes us to Washington. What's going on? Tampa Bay actually had a 2-0 lead tonight, but not anymore. Peter Bondra, this is shorthanded. Beats Mark Fitzpatrick, his 35th, 2-1. We'll keep you posted.
Not a good time to commit first. Peter Bondra's coming down on you.
Thanks very much, Steve. And, of course, Barry Melrose told us on National Hockey Night last week, nobody watches more hockey than him in North America. And so they're going to have a full hour to go over the full schedule. All 26 teams with 13 games of full schedule in the National Hockey League. And they'll have all the highlights and stories tonight at 1 a.m. Eastern over on ESPN2.
Here's this hard-working group. Johan Lindbaum did such great job down low that Jason Moore took a penalty on him. This is an area that Jim Schoenfeld's concerned about. He doesn't want to play in his end. He said, we're so banged up on defense. If we play in our end a lot, it is not going to be good for us. Now, mind you, they've only had to play in their own end against that hard-working line that we've pointed out a couple of times. But if the Rangers can pin him in, Schoenfeld thinks they're at a disadvantage. Phoenix is.
You said earlier the Rangers have been consistently inconsistent. This power play was one area that carried them early in the year, but boy, they have struggled of late. And with the inability to create chances 5-on-5, they need the special teams to get it going. As Leach carries into the Coyote zone, hands it off now for Driver. Now LaFontaine rotates it to the corner. Stevens sends it back out. LaFontaine to the line. Driver tried to move it across. Corcoran, good work with the stick. Able to break it up. Aaron Shannon just wasting some time here, and he put it right up into the Ranger bench. No, I guess not. Play's going to continue. As you look at the numbers of the Rangers on the power play and the Coyotes on the penalty kill, as they rank in the National Hockey League. Cross-ice pass, long one-timer there by Driver, sent wide. Now Stevens being watched by Roenick. Here is Gretzky in the corner. Gretzky, long backhand pass out to the line. Leach drops the hash mark. Goes cross-ice for Leach. Leach winds up, takes a shot. That was deflected wide. Gretzky has it again. Leach straight away, just redirects it. Over to Leach. He'll go rink wide for Gretzky. Back to Driver at the line. Makes a move to get away from Roenick. Now it comes to Leach. Goes back now to Driver. Did he hold it in? The linesman right there. Jay Shears says no.
No, well defended. Well defended by Phoenix. They just kept forcing the umbrella higher, higher, higher. Now, you think Brian Leach means anything to the New York power play? Duh. On the ice for 41 of the 42 power play goals. Guess which power play Brian Leach wasn't on for?
Well, if it's 41 straight he's been on, I would say he probably missed the first one.
Duh, can't get anything by you. He was not on the ice for the Rangers' very first power play goal of the season and has been on the ice for every one since. Can't live without him.
They got to go back and take a look at that power play, though, and see what they did. Say, guys, we got to find out what we did right that night.
We can do this without Brian.
Here's Finley now. He's checked by Darren Shannon. Darren Shannon, number 34. Nice play there. He found Torkham open. Not only able to clear the zone, but it leads to a 2-on-2 potentially the other way. Shannon, though, overskates the puck. Now taken along the boards by Jeff Finley, but Shannon drives it back. Newman did not get it deep. It was intercepted by Sundstrom, and now Sundstrom's soft pass taken away by Diddick.
Boy, that's what Jim Schoenfeld loves. He wants no gap. Even killing a penalty, he wants his defenseman to stand up. Don't give him time to get wound up. Here's Leach with a little room to try to cut him off. Can't do it. Too much speed.
Here's Leach's shot, though, deflected by Diddick. Now Graves battling against Tkachuk. Graves puts it high up on the glass. That stayed in play. Coyotes are back at full strength, and you see no shots on the power play, even with Brian Leach out there. Tkachuk sandwiched between a couple of Rangers. Adam Graves comes back the other way. Sends it ahead to Skrudland, who dumps it behind Hobby Mullen. Looks like we have a penalty coming here.
Yeah, Brian Skrudland was taken down. He was trying to get in on the forecheck. And the officials have been told to start calling the obstruction stuff a little tighter after the Olympics, but this was pretty blatant.
Well, a lot of the country is going through some bad weather, Bill, but we had a beautiful day here in Phoenix. That is the norm. It is scoreless in the first period. Back with more after this.
Well, Norm McIver is the guy that was whistled off for Phoenix. Interference was the call. This is why Jim Schoenfeld doesn't want to play in his own end. Norm McIver, little guy, he's trying to hold up Brian Skrudland on the forecheck, but he had to foul him. He's not big enough, strong enough. Oleg Tverdovsky, gifted offensively. Jim Schoenfeld doesn't want him to have to play a lot in his zone. Darren Quint, same idea.
Well, the Rangers get their second power play opportunity so far in this scoreless hockey game. Rangers have managed just 2 shots on goal so far. The Coyotes 4. Coyotes, though, have had that many scoring chances. Puck is cleared here, back inside the Ranger zone. And the Ranger captain, Brian Leach, will start it back. Puts it to the left to Hobby Mullen. LaFontaine gets there quickly, put it right to the crease area, and the Coyotes able to clear. Richter plays it ahead to Leach, and the Rangers come on the attack one more time, but Driver's pass well out of the reach of Keane. So again, no shots for the Rangers on that first power play. First game of this road trip, Bill, a 2-2 tie in Ottawa when Brian Leach did not play. They did not have a shot on goal in 3 power play opportunities.
Yikes. Well, that goes back to the duh question. Yeah, did Brian Leach mean anything to the power play?
Fontaine tried to hit a cutting Kevin Stevens. That did not connect, and the Coyotes able to clear. Leach back to pick it up. Rangers in the Wayne Gretzky group out there now on the power play. Driven in by Finley, wide of Hobby Mullen, but the Coyotes get there first. Finley unable to hold it in. And it's recovered now by Darren Shannon. Shannon will drop it back now to Jay Moore.
Good play. Nobody expected. Rangers were all backing up. They didn't expect them to reverse it.
The shot, the length of the ice is sealed over the crossbar. Doug Woodster back to pick it up. Already down to just a half a minute as you see remaining in the Norm McIver minor penalty. Here's Newman in with it. Newman plays it off the glass and all the way back down the ice. Woodster back to get it. And the Rangers being forced back by Tkachuk. Woodster still looking for it out. Now moves it across. Up to center ice for Gretzky. Little foot pass looking for Sundstrom. Diddick got a stick on it. Gretzky chases it to the corner. And Dallas Drake took it away. Clears it down the ice. McIver is out of the box. So the Coyotes 2 for 2 on the penalty kill. Now Bugamo plays it ahead. Johan Lindbaum put it off the skate of Skrudland. Skrudland tried to control, but the Coyotes take it away. Here is Tkachuk dropping it back, and Janney being pressured by Lindbaum, and Janney faked one way and spun to the center of the ice. You know, that reverse play by Tkachuk where he turned around and went the other way with it, not a bad play. The New York Rangers are now a trapping team, believe it or not. They started this road trip, went to San Jose after Ottawa and Boston. They are now trapping. Bernardowski couldn't catch up to that loose puck. Now Bukaboom on a second effort. Long pass and unable to handle it cleanly was Bill Berger. He may have had a scoring chance. Leach just came off the bench. He intercepts that Phoenix pass. Here's Leach with some speed. Tough angle. Try to cut it right in front of Hobby Bullen. Nobody there for the Rangers to get a stick on it. And Eastwood back at center ice to Driver. Tips it ahead for Berg. Hobby Bullen just settles it down now for Gerald Diddick. Diddick lays it off the board, center ice. Bruce Driver has it there and lays it right back into the Coyote zone. Gardner, of course, a one-time New York Ranger. A couple of Rangers go down on collisions away from the puck. Now here is Gardner. Pressure along the boards. Leach with a steal, and he sends it right back into the Phoenix zone. Ruben has it. Had a very quickly played first period with just over 5 minutes remaining. No score in the game. Finley having trouble with two Coyotes right around him. Recovers the plate along the boards, gets it back from Langdon, and able to clear the zone.
As long as you're not getting paid by the number of minutes you work, it's great.
DJ Stock scored his first National Hockey League goal, a game we had on the Deuce Monday night, game in San Jose. Now Darren Cook going back to get it, and there's going to be a penalty here against the Rangers. I think it was LaFontaine that took Jay Moore down, and Moore shaken up on the play and couldn't even play the puck, and so the referee is going to blow the whistle right away. So the Coyotes going on the power play when we come back.
Hey, this is turning into a special teams game. Watch the stick of Pat LaFontaine come up under Jason Moore's jersey. He looked like the creature an alien trying to escape his body, but it was LaFontaine's stick coming up, and it did look like it poked him pretty hard in the face, so pretty decent call.
Jay Moore probably happy that the jersey got in the way. No kidding. Took away some of the impact, but nonetheless, LaFontaine going in for hooking. Could have been high sticking. So the Coyotes have their second power play opportunity. Dave Strader along with Bill Clement. Brian Engblom is with us here as well. Barry and Steve back in our National Hockey Night studios. Glad you're with us here on this Saturday night. Full slate of games in the National Hockey League. Many played this afternoon.
15-16.
And as we've said many times, the Rangers, if the playoffs were to start today, would not be in the playoff picture. Trailing Buffalo by 5 points going into action today. Barry pointed out at the top of the show, Buffalo with a chance to pad their lead depending on what the Rangers do here. Carolina won earlier today over Boston, so they move up even with the Rangers. So there's a lot of teams for the Rangers to worry about. Here was Cliff Ronning. Janney tried to quickly redirect it in front. Janney takes it back to the corner, goes straight away for Newman. Newman tried to get a shot through. There wasn't room there. Mike Keane knocked it away, and Keane able to clear. Bobby Bullen hands it off now for Cliff Ronning. Ronning a forward who often plays the point on the power play for Jim Schoenfeld. Very good puck handler. And here is Tkachuk with it. He'll lay it back. Janney hands it off. Kavanausky, long one-timer and a glove save made by Richter. Went off the end of his glove. Bugaboo tried to draw a penalty on Tkachuk. No call coming. Samuelson with a hard hit on Tkachuk. Back to the point, Ronning. Across now for Taverdowski. Taverdowski sends it back to Ronning. Now it goes to Dallas Drake back. Now for Taverdowski. Stops a shot deflected just wide of Richter. Picked up by Janney in the corner. Janney to the hash marks. Lays it out now for Taverdowski. Drives a shot. Save made. Left hand of Richter. Good concentration there by the Ranger goaltender. It comes back now. Taverdowski will try it again. A drive and a save. Richter, big rebound. Rangers fail to clear. Here's Janney to Ronning. A one-timer sailed up over top of the net. Back to Dallas Drake. He scores! Mike Richter had no idea where that puck went. And Dallas Drake makes no mistake.
No, and the angle that Cliff Ronning had when he shot and missed, it really had to have Mike Richter thinking that it was going to come out the other side, because if you're on a pool table, it would have. If you're playing in a hockey arena and it hits a strut that separates the glass or maybe the space between the glass, it'll come out funky, and that's exactly what happened. Tell you what, Phoenix's legs weren't tired on this power play. Their arms were tired from shooting so much. Taverdowski, then Ronning. There's a shot that missed. Mike Richter assumed, and I think assumed correctly, that a normal bounce would have had it coming out the other side. It was not a normal bounce, so he looked, didn't see it. By that time, it was too late. Wide open net for Dallas Drake.
Ninth of the year for Dallas Drake.
Some great firepower, though. I mean, most teams really push on the kill. the New York Rangers a little more passive, and the Phoenix Coyotes are happy just to fire away. They're just pounding the puck at Mike Richter.
Oh, Dallas Drake, who missed 12 games in the month of December with a bad knee.
And number 15, Greg Janney.
Janney gets an assist along with Ronning on the power play goal. Scored by Dallas Drake. Good pressure again by the Coyotes. A deflection by Ronning nearly got through. And Jeff Finley now taking it back behind his own net. A giveaway here, a chance. Oh, that deflected off a skate. Ronning had a great opportunity and it hit a skate. Finley again had it knocked away. This time Richter is going to cover up. And let's throw it down to our sure-handed defenseman, Brian Engblom. Brian?
Thanks very much, Dave. You know, it seems like some players are just never out of position. They understand the game so well that they sit back and the game comes to them. Nicholas Sundstrom is one of those guys. Very smart, wise beyond his years. He'll get to certain spots on the ice and let the play come to him. He knows where all three Coyote players are and where the puck is coming to, so he doesn't have to expend a lot of energy. Work hard, but work smart. He's able to get to the puck 2 or 3 times in a row. That's our Men in Speed Stick Spotlight.
Brian, he's so good defensively. That's one of the reasons he plays with Wayne Gretzky. Yes, he's capable offensively, but it frees Wayne up to do what he does creatively offensively because Nicholas Sundstrom is always there reliably to back him up.
This Darren Quint shot deflected into the crowd and out of play. We invite you to stay with us here on National Hockey Night. The New Dodge Intermission Report. All NHL action. We'll update you on that, including a big contest between the Flyers and Avalanche. That could possibly be a preview of the Stanley Cup in June. And how about all the trades that Vancouver has made since Mike Keenan has gotten the okay to go ahead and be involved in that?
The Islanders, a long list. But Jim Schoenfeld has to be happy about his power play right about now. Last 5 games coming into tonight, 7 for 21 in January. They had the best power play in the NHL. They were clicking along at 33%. You can flat out win hockey games when you're that hot. Your special teams, your power play especially, can carry you. Your penalty killing keeps you from losing games, but you ride a hot power play in today's NHL and get enough goals on it, you can flat out pick up points just on your power play.
Here come the Rangers now, trying to get on the scoreboard, trailing 1-0 here on the road as they wind up a 6-game road trip heading into the Olympic break. Aaron Langdon got it off the boards, and a quick shot to the net by Driver was easily stopped by Hobby Bullen. Aaron Quint and Jay Moore, the defensive pair right now for Jim Schoenfeld. Pilgrim, McKenzie, and Lemieux, Jocelyn Lemieux up front. And that play offside at the Ranger line.
The man had a string of consecutive starts going. You can see most starts. Nikolai Hobby-Bullen is second to Curtis Joseph in total starts. But he didn't start the last game. And Dave, you mentioned earlier that mysterious knee injury. Well, nobody here knew about it, but it was just one of those nagging things. And he sat out the last game, but he came back strong on this one. Our U.S. Army goal camp. Nikolai Hobby-Bullen tight to the post. He's also stopped a breakaway from Kevin Stevens in this game. Bobby Smith called Hobby-Bullen a 90s goalie. Big, good athlete, great work ethic, super attitude. I mean, he's the whole package. We love him here.
That would explain why they didn't want to take any chances if indeed he had any kind of a problem with one of his knees. Janney sends it out. Gardner with a chance. Save Richter, and he wasn't sure where that rebound went, and Bukaboom's going to get a penalty here. He took down Kachuk. And Lance Roberts was right there. Bukaboom's going to argue his case, but I don't think he has much of one. And so the Coyotes will get their third power play opportunity.
Dave, this whole period is revolved around the special teams. And that's kind of, I guess if your power play's hot like Phoenix is, that's okay. But if it isn't, it's kind of scary. Phoenix had so much success in the early moments of this game, getting deep into the zone and working their forecheck, cycling the puck. Well, that won't happen now. Jeff Bukaboom is standing in front. I don't even think he has his glove at this point. He's already lost it. Keith Kachuk is going to move to the front. Yeah, Bukaboom has lost his glove. So he just went for the hold. And see that he was able to get a pretty good grip on him with his bare hand. I'm wondering if he gets the penalty if he doesn't have his glove off, because he looked like he grabbed a handful of jersey with his bare hand. Wasn't too happy with the call.
No, not at all. And he is guilty of holding at 18:31, so the Coyotes do get the man advantage.
Of course, how many guys walk out, skate up to the referee and go, thank you. Thank you so much.
Great call, Lance. Way to go.
Great call. Thank you.
Look at the scoring chances.
Wow. Haven't seen that.
More scoring chances actually than shots on goal because the Coyotes have had a couple of great opportunities just deflect over top of the Ranger net. Here's Tkachuk winning a faceoff. It comes to Newman. And it was nearly knocked away from Tebardowski. Gartner goes back to Tebardowski. Moves it to the near side for Newman. Did a good job to get a stick on it. Comes to Gartner in front to Tkachuk. Oh, hit the side of the net as Richter stayed strong with number 7 for the Coyotes. And the Rangers able to clear.
The Coyotes did what they have to do. If you just move the power play, the puck around the top of the attack, everybody moves up that's defending. Once you get it down low, you spread everybody out, and then you can make those passes through the box. So the Coyotes finally got the puck deep, and it worked. They opened everybody up.
As you see, less than a minute remaining. Here was Tebardowski now, handing it off for Newman. All he could do was poke it into the Rangers' zone. Samuelsson, though, failed to clear. Here was Tkachuk handing it off to Roenick. Roenick dropped it back. He missed Newman with a pass. As Tkachuk took quite a hit from Samuelsson to make that play. Tebardowski forced to come back. Hands it off down to Darren Quinn. Quinn down to Cliff Roenick. Roenick had to regroup. Here is McIver now, center ice. Moves it across for Dallas Drake, who has the only goal of the game on the playoff side.
Phoenix just about had their second power play goal in this hockey game because of some great passing. Once they got the Rangers penalty killing unit opened up, Keith Tkachuk had it in front, took one step, and tell you what, Mike Richter's follow has been fantastic. Watch Tkachuk step off, and Mike Richter just stayed with him, and I think he might have gotten a piece of this. No, I was absolutely wrong. He didn't get any of it. Keith Tkachuk, I'm still not sure Tkachuk had room to shoot, but it went off the outside of the net, the outside of the post.
Well, if we were worried about energy, how these players would handle it heading into the break, we had a lot of energy, most of it the Coyotes in the Ranger zone, and the Coyotes have the only goal off the stick of Dallas Drake as Hobby Bullen was not all that busy in the first 20 minutes, but it was a very busy day. It has been in the National Hockey League, and to catch us up to date on all the action, let's send it back to our studios and Steve Levy.
All right, Dave.
Back to America West Arena here on National Hockey Night. Coyotes with a 1-0 lead over the Rangers after 20 minutes.
One of the things that's important for Phoenix is dumping and chasing, but you got to dump from the right place. If you can dump from the middle of the ice, it's so much better, and here's why. Our ESPN pre-play will show you. If a center gets a chance to dump the puck in, kind of leaves the puck in the corner, and he can go either way, to his right or his left. What that does is it kind of locks the goalie in so the goalie doesn't get marooned over in the corners. Saw a perfect example of that in the first period. Jeremy Roenick here wants to get the middle of the ice. He's come from there. He wants to go there, and he does exactly that. So he gets to the middle of the ice, and that gives him the option of going to his right or his left. He decides to go over to this side, and watch Mike Richter. He wants to come out and get it, but he doesn't want to go any farther than this. The puck is down here. That is the purpose of dumping in from the middle of the ice. See, Mike Richter, all he did was dump it into the corner. Phoenix was able to get the forecheck going, and that's really important, especially where Phoenix dumps the puck from.
Take a look at the last 7 games that Richter has played against this franchise, both here in Phoenix and in Winnipeg. I mean, he's been incredible with 7 wins, no losses or ties. But he finds himself trailing 1-0 to the Coyotes after 20 minutes of play. There's still 20 seconds remaining in the penalty to Jeff Bukaboom. Here is Norm McIver now to center ice. He'll drive it hard, high up on the glass. That took a strained time. But the Rangers able to get there, and it's cleared by Keane all the way down the ice. Hobby Bullen settles it down now for Tebardowski. Bukaboom back onto the ice. Rangers are back at full strength. Tebardowski lifts it to the left of Richter. Tkachuk battling against Sundstrom gets there. Puck comes out to the line. Here's Newman with it. Newman tries to send it deep. It's intercepted. Back the other way. Brian Leach takes a look to his left. Hands it off to Gretzky. That patented peel inside the blue line. Gets it back to Sundstrom. Sundstrom fights off a check. Gets a shot away. Grazed the outside of the net. Gretzky able to work with Sundstrom along the boards. Here is Gretzky with it. Gretzky fakes a pass. Winds up. He'll let the shot go. Hit the outside of the goalpost to the left of Hobby Bullen. And it's cleared by Newman and all the way down the ice, and this will be an icing call against the Coyotes. Let's take a look at our Molson League leaders, most 30-goal seasons, and Mike Gartner, who's playing in this game as well as Wayne Gretzky. Gartner leading the list, 17. I mean, I think the only year he did get it was the lockout short season of 94-95. Gordie Howe and Marcel Dion rounding out the list.
You know, it hasn't been all rosy here this year. He was a healthy scratch for the first time in his career, and he let the management know here. Bobby Smith, Jim Schoenfeld, he said, look, if I can't play here, I want to play someplace else. Wayne Gretzky, one of his trademarks, always made him so dangerous. Get to the blue line and hook it back. That little button hook. He needs somebody coming late in the play. That was Sundstrom. So dangerous, so hard to defend against.
Jason Moore jumped to the boards by LaFontaine. Keane coming down the boards to make a play on it. Coyotes able to clear the zone. Here is Roenick with it. Slapped away from him. LaFontaine into the Phoenix zone. Roenick, though, took it away. Starts it back with Darren Shannon and Dallas Drake, who has the only goal of the game. It's 1-0 Coyotes. Dallas Drake on the power play. Puck still in the Rangers zone. Now is a centering pass by Roenick. Did not get through. It is recovered now by Doug Lidster. He banks it off the board. And the Rangers clear it out through center ice. Darren Quinn will catch up to it first for the Coyotes. We are early in the second period. Roenick from behind his own net. Hands it off now. Dave Moore. Bouncing puck. He tries to tie up Johan Lindbaum, who had moved up, and the Coyotes able to clear it all the way down. That goes wide of the crease, so that will be an icing call.
Well, if you haven't checked out this month's Vanity Fair, you should. Madonna on the cover, and what a spread inside the magazine. All kinds of Olympic teams featured, including Team USA. They did a great job with this. There's Pat LaFontaine getting ready for the shoot. Brian Leach. Mike Richter, their star goaltender.
Did I ruin it?
No, he sure didn't ruin it. The last guy you saw was Jeremy Roenick. They did a great job with that spread. You should pick up a copy of it and look at it because they had different looks for each team, each country.
That's a perfect example of why the National Hockey League is so excited about the Olympics. I mean, that's the kind of publicity away from the mainstream hockey publications that NHL players don't get, unlike some of the NBA stars and the NFL stars that have more of the international exposure. They want these guys to become household names. Here is Skrubin. Tried to play it to the corner for Lindbaum, who was being held up. Now Norm McIver got a stick on it. Here is Ronning. Taken away from him. Good pressure here by the Skrubin line, but his pass intercepted by Ylonen. Juha Ylonen still looking for his first goal in the NHL, but he's not going to get a chance to finish it here. Although the play continues, his driver battling against Ylonen. Now Ronning tried to get a piece of that puck. Did not do so. It is chopped out and cleared by Johan Lindbaum all the way back into the Phoenix zone. It'll be an icing call here. So on the touch-up, we'll have a break here. We're early in the second period. The Coyotes still with the only goal of the game, leading 1-0. Bill, I'm sure one of the stories Ylonen wanted to tell all of his Finnish buddies when he goes over to Nagano is all about his first National Hockey League goal, but the story's on hold.
Look at these. Most games without a goal this year. Kenny Baumgartner, tough guy for Boston. Christoph Oliva, tough guy for New Jersey. And those are all the forwards, minimum 46 games played. And Murphy's Law says that he's going to go over to the Olympics and lead the Finnish team in goal scoring. And then come back here and still not score another one for Jim Schoenfeld as Shoney pulls his hair out.
Ball comes back to Newman, who will join Ylonen on the Finnish team. Here is Samuelsson. Picked off by Newman. Newman sends it across, and it's deflected. Adam Graves gets there for the Rangers. Sends it ahead now for Eastwood. Eastwood had to slow down. They catch up to that loose puck. They scramble in front of the Ranger bench. Samuelsson fires it in. Howie Bullen out of the net to handle it. Here is Kachuk now. He just takes the hit to take the puck out to center ice. Here is Jimmy. Getting a little behind the back pass. It comes now to Roenick, trying to get it back. Well, it was Newman rather, and back come the Rangers. The backhand flip down for Gretzky up the left side. Gretzky peels back, looking for the late man coming. This time it's Graves. Graves gets the shot away, sails it wide to the glove side of Nikolai Hobbie-Bull, and here comes Bukaboom. Bukaboom in deep, working against Newman. It is kicked free by Newman, and his defense partner Diddick will catch up to it. This is going to be icing.
Well, we mentioned that both of our linesmen are Mike tonight, Jay Shearers and Darren Gibbs. I believe this is Darren Gibbs talking to the guys before a face-off, giving a little instruction.
Next one will be flatter, I promise. Down and stop, guys. Okay, Brian, you go down.
Speed over the rest.
Yeah, you can back up a little bit, Cliff.
Tell you what, smart moves by a rookie. That's Jay Shearers in the foreground. There's Darren Gibbs. I didn't realize until just before the game we were talking to him. I played for 3 years with his uncle, Barry Gibbs, who played in Minnesota, then with me in Atlanta. But smart. I mean, you know, he's a rookie, so he's saying to the veteran guys, listen, I'll do better. I'll get this one flat, and then calling them by their first names. I mean, that's how you get respect when you're a rookie. He did it right.
Just his 21st game in the National Hockey League for Darren Gibbs. For those of you that don't know, the referee and the linesman, just like players, I mean, they cut their teeth in the minor leagues and work their way up on merit. Here's a chance now for Langdon, whose only 2 goals have come on this road trip. Here's P.J. Stock with it, cycles it back down for Langdon. Langdon pulls free from his check. Langdon trying to spin away from Chad Kilger, who picked him up along the boards. Here was Stock with it. P.J. Stock behind the net. Nobody coming after him. Stock still back there. Doing his Wayne Gretzky impersonation. P.J. Stock. Finally, Chad Kilger says, wait a minute, you're not Wayne Gretzky. I'm going to come back and go after you. But he at least drew a penalty, Stock did, as the Coyotes are going to be short-handed.
Yeah, it's easy to look like Wayne Gretzky if nobody's coming to check you. But Jim Schoenfeld here doesn't have his defenseman all playing man-to-man like he did in Washington. More of the zone. Lay off the check. Try to contain. I don't think that meant to leave a guy all alone behind the net, even if it was P.J. Stock.
Well, when the National Hockey League gets back into action, National Hockey Night will be back in action as well, and we've got a matchup between the Florida Panthers and the Detroit Red Wings coming your way Friday, February 27th, 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific. The two teams played earlier this weekend. Dino Ciccarelli, who played for the Red Wings, now with the Panthers, score his 600th career goal. And there you see Dino Ciccarelli with his 600 goals, and he'll go against Steve Yzerman and the Detroit Red Wings. This game will be seen nationwide, including in Detroit and the Miami area.
Even from the black eye, P.J. Stock could say, yeah, I was pretending to be Gretz back there. He's brought a great spark and a great energy level to this Rangers team. P.J. Stock only has 1 goal, but he's had 8 fights in 23 games. He's a little guy, but he plays big and is not afraid of the big guys.
And his first NHL goal on the Deuce Monday night, and it turned out to be the game winner against San Jose. Put the Rangers up 3-0 at the time. And the Rangers with the power play as Leach drops it back down to LaFontaine at the blue line. Driver, long one-timer. That deflected off something in front of Javi Bullen and went just wide of the post to his right. Aaron Shannon under some pressure. Has 3 Rangers around him. It's kick free. Sent back out to the line. Leach, top of the circle, hands it off to LaFontaine. Back to Leach. Gathers the puck in, winds up, drives a shot. That was blocked, and it gets by him. Look out here. Penalty coming against Leach. It'll be a delayed call. If there's such a thing as a good penalty, that was one there. So it will be 4-on-4 with Leach going to the box. Let's check back in with Steve Levy.
All right, Dave, thanks. The new Dodge takes us to Montreal. The Canadiens, don't be fooled by the jerseys. They're at home against Buffalo. And don't be fooled by Shane Corson. Once again, the NHL's leader in power play goals. That's his 13th on the power play. And the only score we failed to show you in that first intermission, hey, there are a lot of games, guys. Kings will win it.
Well, we'll let you slide on that one, Steve. I mean, that's the first mistake this season by my count. I've been counting, too, and I don't have any X's down there on the paper, so finally. Mr. Perfection.
Yeah, what a job. Speaking of perfection, how about L.A. 9-1-1 in their last 11? And Colin Campbell would probably like to have those kind of numbers at some point and may need them after the Olympic break. So that Gretzky and company can participate in the playoffs, let alone make a run at a Stanley Cup. Now, Wayne has not made the playoffs, Bill, 2 of the last 4 years. And you go back now 10 years. 1988 was the last year that Wayne Gretzky drank from the Stanley Cup. I mean, that's hard to believe.
Yeah. I'll tell you what. Here's Mike Folga. You know what he did? He made a little branding iron to brand the top of Wayne Gretzky's sticks with the 5 Olympic rings, and he's got Wayne, a WG at the bottom, kind of signifying the bottom rings, but modified into a W and a G. I mean, I'm going to go Mike Folga. That's a little trademark thing for Wayne to have over there at the Olympics. 48 sticks is how many sticks Wayne Gretzky has taken to the Olympics.
Hope he's got that little logo licensed and copyrighted and all that stuff. Pretty clever.
He doesn't, he will soon.
Here's Tavernowski jumping into the play. Tries the shot just wide on the stick side. Olenek tried to center. That was deflected away, and Gretzky gets to the loose puck. 4 skaters aside here. Tverdovsky really took it away cleanly. Now Graves in the corner, battling against Dallas Drake. Graves waiting for Gretzky, tried to hand it off. McIver using that small frame to try to stay between the net and his man. Here is Gretzky, another penalty coming against the Coyotes. The puck is dumped back toward the Rangers zone, and Mike Richter has gone to the bench. And now it's a 4-on-3 skating advantage on the delayed penalty. Comes back out toward Samuelson, but it's knocked away.
Boy, who is it? Tverdovsky going? Oh, big hole now. More penalties to kill. Nope, wasn't Tverdovsky. He was just the guy arguing the call. It was Norm McIver. Tverdovsky had his man in pretty good position, but more penalties to kill now for the Coyotes as McIver went off. And that's what Jim Schoenfeld was afraid of. When you get your little guys like Norm McIver ISO'd on bigger men, sooner or later to contain, you get into a man-to-man. You can't lay off them and just play a zone all the time. It evolves into a man-to-man sooner or later, and that's what happened to Norm McIver. And he had to hold him.
Well, part of the problem is Jim Schoenfeld doesn't have a lot of guys that would be regulars on this defensive core, led by Murray Barron, who's been on a long time with that torn tricep.
Exactly, and he's a big guy. He can play man-to-man. Jimmy Johnson has post-concussion syndrome. His career may be over. Michel Petit would be in the lineup right now because the other guys are banged up, but Petit hurt himself last game, got a Charlie horse. So some big men there, namely Barron and Petit. Jimmy Johnson can play a big style of game, even more than John Slaney, but Jim Schoenfeld is without all of those players. Didn't want to make excuses. Nobody does, but that's a lot of regulars out on the blue line.
8 seconds left in the Kilger penalty. It's 4-on-3. You don't see this power play configuration very often. The Rangers will enjoy it just for a few seconds till Kilger comes out. Lidstrom with a chance. Hobbybull in the save. Puck is cleared. Rangers hold it in. Driver moves it across. Long one-timer. Save made on the rebound. Candon. LaFontaine went diving for it.
Well, that was the idea. You got to win the face-off first, and they knew they only had a few seconds to generate any attack on that 5-on-3, so nicely done, except no results yet.
So it goes back to 4 skaters aside, and Jim Schoenfeld can breathe a sigh of relief for now. His club leads at 1-0 over the Rangers. Welcome back to America West Arena here in Phoenix, Arizona. The final day of regular season competition before the historic Olympic break. Dave Strader, Bill Clement, Brian Engblom with us as well. Stephen Berry back in our studios. 4 skaters aside. There's 29 seconds remaining in the Leach penalty. He'll be the first one out. And there will be about 1:10 left in the Norm McIver penalty to work on another power play.
Brian Leach will undoubtedly stay out as soon as he gets out of the box. Because, why? They can't score on a power play without him.
They need him, that's for sure. Here is Tkachuk. They're going to go wide against Sundstrom. Tkachuk had it poked away by Doug Lidster. Lidster moves it quickly. Driver could not control. Dave Moore sends it back behind the Ranger goal. Tkachuk. Tkachuk tries to send it out toward the line. Intercepted by Sundstrom. He plays it ahead. Oh, good play there by Darren Quinn to reach out and grab that puck and lays it back into the Rangers zone. Leach is out there now. The Rangers with the man advantage. There were the numbers on the Ranger power play 0 for 3. They came in ranked 5th. Dave Moore driving it around the boards. Good job there by Leach to hold it in. Had to hold it in a second time. Now it comes to Driver. Fakes the shot. Hands it off between the circles. Graves couldn't control it. Swept out of there. And picked up by Darren Shannon on the left wing side. He'll just bounce it down the ice.
You know, sometimes the numbers don't mean anything, but when you consider the Rangers have only had 3 shots and this is their fourth power play, that's just not enough.
No, that's right. LaFontaine drops it back for Gretzky. Oh, Graves hit hard by Hronek, and Graves responds to that. Gretzky, meanwhile, lays it out to Leach. He drives the shot. That was blocked by Ylonen. Big block there by Juha Ylonen. Comes to Gretzky. On the attack, Gretzky. Lays it across the front, score! Gretzky, I think, was looking far side for LaFontaine. It never got there, but it ends up behind Hobbybull.
Well, if you can't do it on quantity, just do it on a lucky bounce. And that's what the Rangers got here. But the key was Wayne Gretzky was allowed to penetrate, and something scary is going to happen if you give Wayne Gretzky enough time. Brian Leetch was breaking for that. I agree with you, Dave. I think it just bounced off him and went in. But look how much time Wayne Gretzky has. You don't even see a Coyote in the picture. Giving it to him, Newman, and laid off him. Oh, wait a minute. That Brian Leetch looked like he got a piece of that with his stick and looked like he might have even been trying to get it. Watch this. There, Brian Leetch went for it with his stick, and I think very quickly was able to redirect that with his stick. And if it was a foot off the ice, you know it wasn't meant for Brian Leetch. Cutting wide, he was over there, he wanted it, didn't even get to him. Didn't get to him, didn't have to get to him. So the Rangers have tied it. Might not be a Hall of Fame type goal, but the Rangers will sure take it. Boy, oh boy, they've had a tough time scoring goals. The last 12 games, they have not been able to score more than 3 goals in any contest. And here we are halfway through this one, and it's still at 1.
And if I'm not mistaken, it's now 42 straight Ranger power play goals that Brian Leetch has been on the ice for. So that
was he on the ice for that one?
I think he was. Boy, that is just a world-class play. Be able to pick that puck out of midair when, as you showed on the telestration, it didn't look like the pass was even intended for Brian Leetch. But boy, offense has been a problem for this New York Ranger team, Bill.
Absolutely has, especially over the last dozen games coming into tonight's action. They've scored 3 goals or fewer in a dozen consecutive games. 1964-65 was the last 13-game streak that they had without scoring more than 3 goals. Unless they can open this one up, they're going to tie that.
Well, that would even be BC before Clements. 64-65.
30. Well, that was 30-some years ago, wasn't it?
1-1. Each team with a power play goal. Dallas Drake for the Coyotes in the first, and Leetch from Gretzky and Driver here in the second period for the Rangers. Luka Boom plays it ahead. Bill Berg couldn't get very far with it. McIver sends it back into the Rangers zone. Richter comes out. Streaking Mike Gartner forces Richter to cover up, and that forces us to go downstairs to Brian Engblom. Brian?
Thanks, Dave. On our focus tonight, we've been looking at different players' stick handle. The first guy that we're going to look at is Brian Leetch. Everybody has their own style. Brian Leetch skates very erect when he skates. You can see his back is very vertical. But watch his feet and his hands sync up. This guy is a thing of beauty to watch. The rhythm is incredible. He never bobbles the puck. He's just picking his way up the ice when he's got that open ice to work. Then he's in tight. Again, the rhythm, back and forth, trying to get those players to move. Our Menin speed stick spotlight.
And one of the reasons Brian Leetch is such a fantastic passer, you noticed in those replays, 2 hands on his stick the entire time. A lot of defensemen, a lot of players will start to play off when they're getting their speed up by pushing the puck out of them with 1 hand. Can't make a pass that way. Brian Leetch is always poised and ready to make a pass either to his forehand or his backhand.
Face off deep in the Ranger zone. 1-1 as we approach the halfway mark of the second period. Bob Corkum and Mike Eastwood being warned by Jay Scherers. Corkum wins the faceoff back toward Jay Moore. It's knocked away, but Moore, good job to hold it in. Rangers able to clear. Aaron Quint lays it back to Kachuk. His pass is intercepted by LaFontaine, who lays it back deep into the Coyote zone. Eastwood gets their first centering pass. Good defensive positioning there by Janney and Quint. And he couldn't get to that puck. He was being hooked away from it, and the crowd here at America West wanted a penalty. Quint plays it around the boards of his own zone. It's taken there by Kachuk. Kachuk, along with John LeClaire, trying to become the first U.S.-born player to get 50 goals 3 times in a career. Here is Keane. Carries on into the Coyote zone. The shot blocked wide. Hobby Bullen plays it to the corner. Stevens is there. Now Keane plays it out. Bookable quick shot into the glove of Hobby Bullen. That will give us an opportunity to go back to our National Hockey Night studios and Steve Levy. Steve?
All right, Dave, thanks. And the new Dodge takes us back to Washington. And what's going on here? Tampa Bay trying to win on the road and snap that 16-game winless streak. Stephane Richer, now a goal to go along with his 2 assists.
Boy, I guess that's why they got him, huh? Stephane Richer. I mean, that's exactly why he was brought to Tampa from Montreal. Jacques Demers knows him, obviously, because he's had him before as a player. And looks like he may just be working out.
Won't put Ronnie Wilson, who's behind that bench in Washington, in a very good mood heading over to Nagano, where he will be behind the U.S. team bench. Can you imagine what it's going to be like in some of these locker rooms, in particular the Rangers. I mean, they've got representatives from 3 of the favorites, and here is one of them moving in, Roenick, who will be with that Team USA. And a block made by Sundstrom, moves it across now, and Driver starts it back for Gretzky. Taps it deep into the Coyote zone. Newman is back to get it. And it's played all the way back out to center ice. Rangers have it there. Now it's taken by Darren Shannon. Cross ice, Leaks slapped it away before Roenick could get to it. Coyotes do not have a shot on goal here in the second period against Mike Richter. He came in with 9 shots, and that's where they stand right now. Played 11 and a half minutes. Lead pass now for Gretzky. One-on-one against McIver, who got a stick on it. And the Rangers are going to have to come back, try to regroup center ice, but the Coyotes aren't going to let that happen. Here's a chance for Ronnie. Busty up the middle, gets the shot away. Richter the save. And a penalty coming. Lance Roberts with his arm in the air. Hasn't made the indication yet on what the call's going to be. It is going to be a penalty against the Rangers. Power play Phoenix in this 1-1 hockey game when we come back.
Jeremy Roenick is looking at his hand on the bench because he got slashed. He almost had the first shot of this period for Phoenix on a partial breakaway. But watch Bruce Driver in blue. He came around with a one-hand swat and got Jeremy Roenick in his hand. Ow, 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 ow. Then he just went for a why I oughta. Got the closest guy in blue, and that was Adam Graves. After that, Cliff Ronning had a partial breakaway and was dragged down. Penalty was called on the play, but that gave Phoenix their first shot of the period. And now here they go on the power play.
Power play number 4 for the Phoenix Coyotes. That Cliff Ronning breakaway was the first shot on goal of the period for Phoenix. There you see the numbers on the power play for Jim Schoenfeld's club as Jeremy Roenick steps in. Gartner on his left, Ronning on his right, and the puck goes right between Kavardowski and Darren Quinn. Well, Quinn will start it out of his own zone. Hands it off to Kavardowski. Cross ice now for Ronning. Ronning sends it in behind Richter, and that play is offside.
Told you about that partial breakaway that Ronning had that led to the penalty and has put Phoenix on the power play. We'll look at it from our U.S. Army goal cam. Here's what it looked like from behind Mike Richter with Ronning coming at him. And Richter was really helped because Ronning had to contend with the defenseman. By the way, that's not really a U.S. Army goal cam. They're the ones that sponsor it. We didn't borrow it from the Army. They're just sponsoring it.
Cliff Ronning has assisted on the only goal scored by the Coyotes. Aaron Quick gets the loop, fires a shot, save made by Richter, and he squeezes the pads together. And we got a little difference of opinion back behind the Ranger goal.
Mike Gartner. And for the first time in Mike Gardner's career, he's kind of fighting to be in the lineup. Rick Tocchet got his suspension, and he still hasn't finished serving for kneeing Steve Yzerman, and that's why Mike Gartner is back in the lineup as a regular, but mentioned earlier that he was a healthy scratch. And boy, it's been a long time waiting for the Stanley Cup, and he still doesn't have one. As a matter of fact, he's played more games without a Stanley Cup than anybody in the history of the NHL. Just past Harry Howell and Normie Ullman. On Thursday night, Mike Gartner moved into 5th place on all-time games played. There's Mike Keane. He gave him a couple of slaps, and then Owen Samuelson came in to take him. Only 4 players in the history of the NHL that have played more games than Mike Gartner: Gordie Howe, Alex Delvecchio, Johnny Busick, and Tim Horton. That's it.
Of course, Gartner was on the Ranger team that went on to win the Cup and was traded at the deadline. And there's Gartner going right back at Sanderson, who would have been a teammate of his with the Rangers.
Did he take him? That's a different Mike Gartner. And there's a guy that is a proud athlete. I think this still goes back. You wouldn't have seen Mike Gartner do that had he not been a healthy scratch for the first time in his career. You know, I thought he took him in pretty clean, and after the fact, Jeff Bukaboom slashed Mike Gartner, and I don't think Lance Roberts saw that because there were a bunch of people in between them. But Mike Gartner has just served notice that he is alive and well and willing to play hard. 40. Right off the draw. Watch this. How did he take him? You ever seen Mike Gardner do that?
I have never seen him do that.
And that was Buchman. We see him poke him at the end, and that was the one that Lance Roberts couldn't see. Boy, did he take him. And he just ragdolled him. And it looked like Al Samuelson was a 165-pounder.
Normally with a boarding call, it's usually a player with a little bit of speed delivering a hard hit, somebody that's already there.
Yeah.
I think that's what Jim Schoenfeld was arguing. He said, hey, he just catapulted him into the board.
He just out-muscled him. Okay, so he threw him from 8 feet out, but...
So again, we go to 4 skaters aside, and this has not been a situation that's been good for the New York Rangers. Again, at even strength, they have struggled to score. But so far this year in 4-on-4 situations, Bill, they've scored once. They've been scored against 5 times. And look, we got a couple of slashing penalties here. This is where I'd like to see the NHL go to 3-on-3.
Why, me too, Dave.
Absolutely. In fact, if we did that, we'd probably get some plays worthy of the ESPY Awards, which we will have for you Monday night, 7:30 Eastern, 5:30 Pacific. The 6th annual ESPY Awards from Radio City Music Hall, with the pre-show setting the stage before the ESPYs get underway at 8 o'clock. Norm Macdonald will be the host, with stars such as Chris Rock, Michael J. Fox, and Matt Damon on hand to present 35 separate Fan Choice Awards. Also included will be the Arthur Ashe Award presentation for courage going to former North Carolina head coach Dean Smith.
You know, Dave, that there are 3-on-3 men's leagues springing up, 1 goalie and 3 skaters. There's one in Montreal in this facility that has 4 ice rinks. They play 45-minute games. You get the best workout you can imagine, and you're involved in the play all the time. It's fun to watch. It's fun to play. It's fun for everybody.
Kind of hard to trap if you only have 3 skaters, isn't it? I mean, that would do away with it.
It's a leaky trap, that's for sure.
This is going to be an icing call. Oleg Tverdovsky, apparently in the Olympic break, you wonder what some guys are doing that aren't going to the Olympics. He has rented out a rink in the Anaheim area. And he is going to basically have a mini training camp there. He's going to have some people that he knows from the Soviet Union coming over to play. 10 days he's rented the rink out for. He's basically going to live and sleep there because he figures if he takes any kind of a break because of the time he missed during the contract dispute, he's going to be so far behind he can't possibly keep up with everybody afterwards. So
Smart move.
Wonder if they gave him a break on the ice time.
Are you kidding? Probably charge him more. He makes enough.
They try to get it back to Tverdovsky. It comes down to Dallas Drake. Drake hands it off down to Tkachuk. He moves it to Tverdovsky. Nice move here. Gets the shot away. Sails just wide. Now Richter tried to poke it away from Tkachuk. Tkachuk has it again. 4 skaters aside here. The Ranger penalty to Finley will end first. And here's LaFontaine stripping the puck, but he couldn't control. Darren Quick back to get it for the Coyotes. Tverdovsky hands it off now. Dallas Drake. They're going to go wide on Driver. Took him down. Referee. And Drivers had a good look at it. Decided it was not an infraction. Here comes Adam Graves trying to go to Gretzky. Good job. Gretzky controlling the puck. Now his shot was intercepted by Roenick. Roenick moves it now to Newman. Back to Roenick, who's got some speed into the Ranger zone. And that play just offside as Ronning in there ahead of the puck.
Our linesmen are pretty busy now that this has gotten a little chippy, and they're doing what they can to try to keep things under control out there. Both of the linesmen are mic'd for this hockey game. Darren Gibbs and Jay Shearers. Let's listen in.
Hey, I think for the sake of the rest of this game, just we'll get the puck in our own end and don't worry about the puck right away, okay? Just watch the players right away.
Okay.
Little strategy between the veteran Jay Shearers and the rookie Darren Gibbs.
Sounds like some of the strategy players have. Forget the puck and just go grab somebody.
No kidding. Absolutely. Now watch Jay Moore. Watch Jay Moore, number 6 for Phoenix. Do you think this is perhaps making reference to the fact that the officials have something other than 20/20 vision? Well, he didn't. Nobody saw. I don't think the officials saw him do it. He didn't yell at anybody. He didn't get anybody's attention, so I don't think Lance Roberts saw him do it.
Well, if you're going to try to do something like that, the guys you don't think see very well, at least yell at him, let him know that you're going to do it. Leach sends it across. Power play for 20 seconds here for the Rangers. Leach. Driver winds up, doesn't shoot it, hands it off Gretzky, back to Driver. His shot deflected by Darren Shannon, but here's Leach with it. Leach's pass was blocked. Behind the net, it goes to Gretzky. Gretzky tried to stuff it in front. It was knocked away by Gerald Diddick and recovered now by Corkum. He's got Shannon going up the far side. Corkum has got Gartner trailing the play, who just came out of the box. So both teams are back at full strength. Ronning holding it in. Sends it back for Corkum. Stevens pushes him along the boards. Ronning comes off the wall with it. They're going to make a play. Gets a shot away. Hey, Gartner looked like he was tackled in front of Mike Richter. No call was made. Adam Graves chipping it off the glass and back into the Coyote zone. Let's check back in with Steve Levy in our National Hockey Night studio. Steve?
All right, Dave, thanks. The new Dodge takes us back to Washington. What about that Lightning 4-2 lead late against the Capitals? It's a one-goal lead now. Richard Zednik has scored to make it closer.
All right, and a busy night and a busy afternoon of the National Hockey League. A one-hour edition of NHL Tonight with Bill Pito and Barry Melrose. 1 a.m. Eastern, 10 Pacific. As the man that watches more hockey than anybody, going to be working 2 shows on 2 of our networks.
The Night Shift. Barry Melrose, Night Shift man. He plays the Michael Keaton part for the Night Shift. Remember that movie?
Didn't see it, so that's I can't respond to that.
That was great.
But I'll bet Barry would have been perfect for the part. Hardest working man in pro hockey. Big pass now for Tkachuk is knocked away, but he's going to try to chase it down. He was taken along the boards, and there was a hit without the puck being there. And that's the call, interference. Keith Tkachuk got up, and he started to put his hands in the air like, come on, I don't have the puck. That's got to be a penalty. And there is the call from Lance Roberts, very emphatically.
You know what all the penalties have done is taken some of the buzz out of the game. But even in 5-on-5, Phoenix has stopped dumping and chasing, and that's one of the reasons they haven't done anything offensively this period. Remember in the first period how they dumped and chased and established their game down low? You know, they've been trying to rush the puck every shift. Yep, he got hit up high. That was Ulf Samuelsson taking out Tkachuk, and Tkachuk stood up and said, yeah, he got me here. Hey, come on.
There goes the puck. No puck there, and whoops.
Well, even if it wasn't an elbow, it was an interference call.
I thought we said that players never say good call. He did, I think. I think he just said good call.
Because it was against the Rangers.
Oh, okay. I knew there was a catch.
Keith Tkachuk leads this hockey team in points. He also leads this hockey team in penalty minutes. Coming into today's action, there are only 2 other players in the NHL that could boast those 2 categories leading their teams. One was Brendan Shanahan of the Red Wings, and the other one was one of the feisty little guys in the NHL, Theo Fleury of the Calgary Flames, leading their team in points and in penalty minutes.
And both will be playing for Team Canada against Keith Tkachuk in the upcoming Olympics. Here's Jay Moore handing it off to Tkachuk in the corner. Back out to Moore. Hands it off down to Dallas Drake, who has the Coyotes' lone goal. It is a 1-1 hockey game here late in the second period. It comes out to Jay Moore straight away. Lets the shot go. Richter able to see that all the way.
One of the toughest power forwards to play against in the league, because not only can he score on you, but he'll run over you in the process. First player in NHL to lead the league in goals with at least 200 penalty minutes. And he had 52 goals and 228 penalty minutes. And trying to be the first American to have 3 50-goal seasons in a career. John LeClair is also in line to do that. Consecutive 50-goal seasons, that is. Tkachuk and LeClair.
And a U.S.-born player has ever had 3 50-goal seasons, and both these guys are trying to do it consecutively. And LeClair added to his total earlier today, as we saw in the highlights. Here was Tkachuk trying to add to his total with a backhand. And Richter wasn't sure that he had it, but indeed he does. Let's go back once again to Steve Levy for an update. Steve?
Dave, here we go. Hey, the new Dodge takes us back to Montreal for this one. 2-1 the Sabres. They would add to this lead. Watch Mike Wilson. Where's the defense? Wilson weaving around 5 players and scoring the goal. And guess what? Tampa has won. Highlights are on the way.
Close the schools in Tampa. Well, good for them. I mean, I know what it's like. I play for the Washington Caps, their second year in the league, and we went huge stretches without winning. A swat there by Jeff Bukaboom that missed Keith Tkachuk and allowed him to get to the front of the net. See, this is why Tkachuk is dangerous. He has the smarts and the touch of a goal scorer to go to the front. If you want to take him on physically, very often he'll just run over you to get there.
Here's Darren Quinn. Hands it off now for Janney. Janney's pass blocked by Eastwood, but Janney with a great hands able to regain control. Now Quinn moves it across. Jay Moore leads it back in along the boards behind Lister. Janney centering pass. A chance here. That hit a stick. And the puck cleared away. Alice Drake was the Coyote forward that had a pop at that puck. Look at the shots on goal. Those are totals for this hockey game, and we're late in the second period. Here comes Ronning. Hands it off for Ronan. Rink wide for Quick. After the single tags a shot. Richter. Good positioning, made the save. And the puck cleared off the boards, recovered by the Rangers as Grace tipped it ahead to Sundstrom. Sundstrom looking for Driver, sends it across, and Driver couldn't get to it. And here's Ronning leading a rush back the other way. Half a minute left in the Samuelson penalty. Ronning with Tkachuk going to the net. Ronning drives a shot just wide of Richter. They carry him off the board. And it's chipped by the Rangers out to center ice. And Norm McIver backing up into his own zone. McIver flips ahead now to Roenick. Roenick could not get it through, and it is sent back into the Coyote zone. Here's Gardner. Great speed of his. Up the right side as Samuelson comes out of the box. Strudman. And Roenick trying to tie each other up. Comes to Ronning. Ronning in the face-off circle. Backs it out. Now lets a shot go. Richter the save. And he hangs on as Mike Gartner, former teammate, was in behind him in the crease area. But Richter's save keeps it at 1-1 late in the second. Pat LaFontaine, one of the 5 U.S. Olympians that is playing in this hockey game tonight. There are 10 Olympians in all. And boy, what about the Ranger dressing room? You got somebody from Canada, Wayne Gretzky. You got the U.S. represented. You got Sweden represented. The 3 favorites for the gold medal. So somebody's going to have the bragging rights likely in that dressing room. As it comes to Diddick, his shot sails wide. Richter. Lidster plays it around the boards, and it is picked up on the move now by Stevens. Decides not to go one-on-one against Diddick. Lead pass for LaFontaine. Corkum intercepts, drops it back. Gerald Diddick backhands it off the boards. And Darren Shannon took the hit to clear the zone. Rangers wheel it right back into the Coyotes' end. Bobby Bullen settles it down. Diddick plays it around. Shannon challenged by Lindbaum. Good job by Shannon to work it across, and now it comes center ice. Corkum. He flips it right in on Richter. Richter decides to cover up and hold on. Well, we were talking about the Olympians that are going to be playing. Let's take a look at our Head & Shoulders storyline. Dallas Drake with a power play goal. The Coyotes have scored power play goals in 5 of the last 6 games. And speaking of the power play, that's how the Rangers have gotten their only tally.
Now our Head & Shoulders replay. It's actually a look at Olympians. Wayne Gretzky, Jeremy Roenick, Pat LaFontaine, and Brian Leach. The 4 playing in this hockey game representing North America. Canada and the U.S. Wayne Gretzky is the only one representing Canada. Those other faces were Americans going to be leaving to represent Team USA. And boy, it's going to be a tremendous, tremendous tournament over there. I think Canada's a better team than they were during the World Cup. I think Team USA is just as strong. You know, a month and a half ago, I would have given Canada the advantage because of Patrick Roy and Marty Brodeur. But the way Richter's played in the last month, I'll tell you what, he's regained that World Cup form.
I don't know if I've ever seen a better goaltending performance than the one Richter put on in the World Cup Championship game. Just phenomenal. Kabarowski from behind his own net. Ronning tries to chip it across to Gardner. Gardner sends it deep. Richter able to stop it there. He is challenged right away by Roenick. That puck still deep in the Rangers zone. Drivers lost his stick. The officials wanted the play to keep going, so the Rangers finally do work it out to center ice. Under a minute and a half now remaining in period number 2. It is recovered by Sundstrom. He sends it across 4. Rangers on the attack. A shot here by Strudman. Goes wide of Bobby Bullen. Poked away by Newman in along the boards. Now Sundstrom. It comes out now to the right point. Kukanuma with a quick first shot. Bobby Bullen. Able to stop that low shot. Here's Samuelson. Samuelson tries to center. Hobby Bullen blocked that. Cleared by Roenick off the boards, but not out. Good job, Bill Berg, to hold it in. Berg sends it back in deep. Diddick is there. Diddick backhanding it, but not high enough to get it away from Bukamu, and it's cleared by Ronning to center ice. Here is Gartner one-on-one against Samuelson, and Gartner's shot is deflected by Samuelson up into the seats and out of play.
Way up. Dave, you mentioned this guy as an underrated player early in the game. Teppo Numminen of the Phoenix Coyotes. He's on my all-underrated team with Kalle Johansson of the Washington Capitals. I was going to say Eric Cairns of the New York Rangers, but he only offered me $10 to mention his name, so I'm going with Teppo Numminen. But one of the reasons he's underrated, he played in the tundra of Winnipeg, and now he plays in the desert of Phoenix. The two teams that he's played for, at least the two cities, he didn't get that much coverage and still don't. The Phoenix Coyotes don't get that much coverage. But boy, is he rock solid back there. And he is positionally as good as there is in the game. He's not a very physical player, but like Chris Chelios, he plays the position and plays the stick so well. Probably a lot like Nicholas Lidstrom. I think you mentioned that this morning. Nicholas Lidstrom of the Detroit Red Wings doesn't do it physically, does it with his brain and his positioning.
How about this? He was recently named the sexiest athlete in Finland by one of the country's largest magazines.
He is. Even in the tundra of Finland, he's recognized.
Just over half a minute remaining here in the second period, and we mentioned that you know, the schedule's been compressed because of the upcoming Olympic break, which also means there's not maybe as much time for the New York Rangers to get back into the Eastern Conference playoff picture. Here are the top 7 teams in the Eastern Conference, and look at what the Rangers are up against. Buffalo with 54 points coming into action. The Carolina winning has gone from 47 to 49. They won earlier today, so it's not only the number of points, the number of teams that are all bunched up there.
Sure, it's not the teams that they're chasing. It's that and the teams also with the Rangers that are chasing the other teams. There's a pack there.
Good stop there by Hobby Bullen with the right arm as he flanked it up to take away that high corner. Dave Moore plays it off the boards and out to center ice. Rangers have it there. Final seconds of this period ticking off the clock. And that's going to do it. We had 1 goal in the first. That was scored by Dallas Drake on the power play for the Coyotes. 1 goal here in the second. It was scored by Brian Leach on the power play. And maybe the guys are trying to set a tone for the upcoming third period. 1-1 our score here at the America West Arena. Let's send it back to our dynamic duo in the studios, Steve Levy and Barry Melrose. Guys.
All right, David.
A power outage that led to a lot of babies here. A power outage here in this building has led to very few goals offensively. Through the first 2 periods, only 26 shots on goal. Yes, Mike Richter and Nikolai Hobby-Bullen have had something to do with keeping the scoring down, but not much offense. It has been a defensive battle.
2-on-2 as the Coyotes come into the Rangers zone, but that play was whistled offside by Jay Scherers. Juha Jalonen again still looking for his first goal, and the players have been saying that any time that Juha is on the ice and the puck gets around the net, they've been literally standing up on the bench. I mean, they're all pulling for this guy, even Keith Tkachuk, who will be going against him in the upcoming Olympics. Keith Tkachuk has struggled against the New York Rangers, even though he's got the 35 goals and is one of the big threats that Barry Melrose talked about during the intermission. Maybe but has not had great success over his career against the Rangers. Here's a steal by Newman, a deflected shot right in on Richter. And he had Tkachuk right in his face. And now Gretzky, able to control, sends it ahead for Adam Graves. Graves flips it in wide of Hobby Bullen. Now it is fired back behind the Phoenix goal. And we got a penalty away from the play, and it's going to go against the Rangers. It was Nicholas Sundstrom that was tied up with the Rangers. Good move here by Tkachuk. Trying to go to the forehand, but he was tied up by Old Samuelson. And it's going to be a high sticking penalty against the New York Rangers.
So another chance for Phoenix. They almost didn't need the power play because Keith Tkachuk put one terrific move coming down one-on-one. Watch this. Oh, boy. He made a move to his forehand on Jeff Bukaboom. Bukaboom took the fake hook, line, and sinker, and he went to his forehand, and he's, darn, if I hadn't lost the puck, I had him. It is harder in hockey, and I don't know dynamically why, to make a move to your forehand than it is to your backhand. Something about the balance and keeping your balance, but he has as good a move to his forehand as anybody. That's Keith Tkachuk. There sits Craig Janney. You mentioned, Dave, that Keith Tkachuk has had trouble scoring against the New York Rangers. Craig Janney has never scored a goal against the New York Rangers. 22 games career-wise. It's the only NHL team he has never scored against, and Tkachuk and Janney play on the same line, so it doesn't look good for them when they play the Rangers. Both have struggled. Tverdovsky goes back to get it. Craig Janney, of course, is a guy that's known more for setting up other players, but certainly capable of putting the puck in the net on his own. Yeah, well, if he scored against 24 of the teams, 25 of the teams, right, anyway, that's official. He's capable. Here is Roenick with it now, working deep along with Ronning. He goes back to the line. Tverdovsky hands it off. Roenick top of the circle, drives a shot that sailed wide of Richter. Now Bukaboom steps in front of Ronnie. Bukaboom plays it along the glass, and it's deflected, but ends up out through center ice, and the Rangers will get some fresh legs out there on the penalty kill. As the Coyotes with the man advantage. 1 for 5 so far tonight. Here's Tverdovsky with it, sending it in deep behind Richter. Roenick with good speed, but he couldn't collect the puck, and it is cleared up the middle, intercepted by Quinn. Tried to move it to Gartner, and it just went under the heel of his stick. Gartner goes back to the line. Quinn is there. Now for Roenick. Roenick had 2 Ranger players right on him. Gartner trying to chase it down, and it gets over the stick of Tverdovsky. Tverdovsky, good job to slow down Mike Eastwood. Eastwood able to gather it back in, working against Quinn. Now Eastwood holding out the Coyote defense with one hand, and then sending it back out where Leach has to go center ice. Here is Tkachuk with it. Tkachuk trying to stuff it through for Janney. That was blocked to Dallas Drake, who has the only Coyote goal, a power play goal way back in the first period. Gets it back to Tkachuk, down to Janney. Janney sends it deep. Dallas Drake could not play it. Keane able to chip it to Leach. Brian Leach works it along the boards, but not out. McIver hands it off to Jay Moore. Moore sends it deep. Now Dallas Drake is there. Drake sends it back out left point. McIver. McIver puts it high up on the glass. And the penalty to Sundstrom is over. Rangers fail to clear. Here is Dallas Drake with it, trying to put it in front. Tkachuk has it. Tkachuk trying to get to the forehand. Pushed off the puck by Bukaboom, and Strudlin able to clear. Well, the Rangers with a big penalty kill here early in the third period. Bukaboom for the Rangers starts it ahead. Now he's got Stevens and LaFontaine ahead of him. Flip pass for LaFontaine with his speed. Yolonen, though, there to tie him up. Here's Stevens. Backs it off the boards. Lundstrom giving a shove. Now it comes out to the line. Held in by Lidster. LaFontaine. There is Stevens. And it's Lindbaum that's out in front looking for a pass. Stevens goes behind the net to LaFontaine. LaFontaine fakes one way. Rolls it right out into the crease here. Ain't nobody get a stick on it. Lidster with a drive. That was blocked. And the puck cleared by the Coyotes. Shannon did not elect to give it to Yolonen as both teams make changes.
What a massive humanity in front of the net when Pat LaFontaine trying to center it out. It always helps to have one guy hanging out a little farther from the goal so that when you move in, you're harder to cover. But when both players offensively are right in the front of the net, right with their toes in the crease, it's just a mad jam in front. You hardly ever get anything out of it.
Driver sends it center ice. Adam Graves is there. Graves hands it off to Sundstrom. They're going to go wide on Quinn. Now cuts behind Hobby Bullen. Tried to center, hit the back of the net. Graves had to fight off Cliff Ronning, but Ronning able to get it to Roenick. He starts it back now with Darren Quinn. They try to give it back to Roenick with some speed, but a good read there by Bruce Driver. Here comes Brian Leach stepping into a loose puck. Leach cuts to the middle, has it on the backhand. His shot stopped by Hobby Bullen. With Brian Leach showing some of that great balance that Brian Engblom talked about on our earlier spotlight.
It's hard to get anything on that shot because he was actually moving away from the net. He was also on his backhand. If you're moving towards the target, you can at least get something on it. But on the backhand moving away, not much.
Gretzky, a one-timer for Samuelson. Set up perfectly to save Hobby Bullen. Gretzky again, though. Jumps on the loose puck. Centering pass between the circles. A drive. And that was blocked as Dallas Drake starts it back the other way. Drake dumps it behind Richter. He stops it there. Boom, picks it up. That's off the stick of Bill Berg and out to center ice. Kachuk back to pick it up now in the Rangers zone. Boom. Had him covered well.
I'll tell you what, the guys that Colin Campbell has had out there against the Kachuk line have done a good job. Now Boom looks like he's trash-talking Kachuk. They're talking to one another, going off on the line change. But Samuelsson and Boom have done a great job on this line.
Well, the old Keith Kachuk may have retaliated. He has done a great job of being a more disciplined player as Janney sends it out. Here is Corkum. Corkum tries to go high. Save made by Richter, and the puck cleared by LaFontaine. Just over 6 minutes gone by here in the third period, and that was unofficially just the 28th shot total in this hockey game. 16 for the Coyotes, 12 for the Rangers.
What you need big men when you've got power forwards like Keith Kachuk, and that's why Colin Campbell put Samuelsson and Boom together. Boom plays on Kachuk's side. That means stuff like this is going to happen.
ESPN's coverage of National Hockey Night is brought to you by Bud Ice, official beer sponsor of the NHL. Drink Bud Ice, but beware the Penguins. By Visa, it's everywhere you want to be. And by Domino's, delivering 1 million smiles a day.
Back here in Phoenix, the Coyotes and the Rangers are tied at 1. 13:20 remaining here in the third period. Third period has been a strong one for Jim Schoenfeld and the Phoenix Coyotes, but here is Leach on the attack for the Rangers, had it poked away, and Mike Keane will back up in the neutral zone to get it. Coyotes have outscored the opposition by 10 goals over the course of the year, so they have been strong in the third. Here is Driver back to play it. Rangers able to clear as Stevens took the hit. Here's LaFontaine. He's got Leach trailing him. Lindbaum going to the net. LaFontaine broken up by McIver. And the puck flipped back inside the Ranger line. Here's Brian Strudlin with it. And of course, Javi Bullen to play it, but Javi Bullen couldn't get to it. Here is Berg. Coyotes get to it. Kachuk left wing side. Makes a little move with it. Now trying to send it ahead to his centerman, Janney. It was blocked, but Kachuk's going to just bulldog his way into the Ranger zone anyway. Hands it off now for Dallas Drake. Strudlin and Kachuk battling with each other between the circles, and Kachuk giving Strudlin the stick. Strudlin coming back at him. So far, Lance Roberts watching the whole thing, letting him play.
Now that frustration level on Keith Kachuk is starting to rise, though, because Brian Strudlin took him down. Kachuk's at least looking for a call. He's looking for a penalty, and he's been roughed up a couple of times with no call, so we'll have to watch to see if he can keep his composure, because he's getting frustrated.
Now from behind the Coyote net, Numanen. Laid at center ice. Sundstrom was there. It is recovered, though, by Cliff Ronning. Ronning tried to lay it across. It's knocked away by Sundstrom of the Rangers. And Gerald Diddick flips it right back in. Richter settles it down. Doug Lidster picks it up now. Backhanded off the boards by Driver, but not out. Diddick held it in. Ronning couldn't get to it. Lidster for Adam Graves. He sends it across now. That was played with a high stick by Sundstrom, so that will draw the whistle. Here in Phoenix, Arizona, we are tied at 1, but the memorabilia of the Phoenix Coyotes, hot-selling items.
All right.
1-1 our score.
For the camera.
Paul Samuelsson wears number 5 for the New York Rangers. We've already mentioned, we've heard from our linesman. Jay Shearer said something to Ulf Samuelsson.
What? I tell you what, I used to use that move, but then I gave it up because it just wasn't working for me.
Well, Jay Shearers used to be a player. And Ulf Samuelsson, you might have been able to hear him say, I think Jay Shearers might have asked him, where'd you get that move? He said, Swedish Elite League.
Pressure here by the Rangers, but the centering pass goes all the way out to the neutral zone. Jay Shearers, 30 years of age, nearly 500 NHL games as a linesman, the veteran of this crew. With Darren Gibbs in just his 21st game, as we mentioned earlier. Here's Cliff Ronning. Coyotes on the attack. Pass for Darren Quint was broken up by Langdon. Been able to clear. Here's Jay Moore cutting in front of Eastwood, and Yolonen just off the bench.
Oh, what a Chinese fire drill over in front of the bench over there. I mean, at one time there were about 18 guys on the ice during that change. Guys coming, guys going.
Nobody wants to play the puck. They don't want to take a chance of too many men on the ice. Anderson to Bukaboom. Moves it quickly. Mike Keane, right wing side. He'll flip it past McIver. And McIver will hold up Fontaine, and Tverdovsky touches up for the icing call. Let's take a look at the Bud Ice scoreboard from around the National Hockey League. Hurricanes with a 3-1 win. They're staying in the playoff hunt in the East. Devils are on top of the East, beating the Islanders 3-2. Brodeur with 32 saves. Avalanche 3-2 winners over the Flyers. Sabres 4-1 final, so that's not good news for the Rangers. 3-2 Maple Leafs over the Panthers. Lightning with the upset in Washington to break their long streak. 2-2 in overtime, Penguins and Senators.
Well, Pat LaFontaine was one of those guys involved in all that coming and going and the changing over by the boards. He got stuck between the legs. Norm McIver got him between the legs, so he poked back at him.
Oh, the Coyotes with a huge advantage.
Well, I'll tell you what, and the numbers in January back that up.
Yep.
I mean, the Coyotes were the 4th best team in the NHL in January, and the Rangers were the 23rd best.
Well, that was one
right
of the reasons
that
Mike Eastwood came back in the lineup, and he won a big face-off in San Jose last Monday night that led directly to a Ranger goal that he scored. They do control it here. Here is Eastwood. Eastwood bangs it off the boards. Tverdovsky has it, and he'll wait for his teammates to get back onside, but the Rangers regain possession. Taken back by Tverdovsky. Tkachuk with it. He needs the zone. Took the hit there from Bukaboom. Tverdovsky picks it up. Now Stevens pinned him to the boards. Drake trying to go back to Tkachuk, and was intercepted. Here comes Mike Keane. He's got 2 Coyote defensemen to try to beat. One of them, Norm McIver, picks it up, but he clears it off the boards. And it finally comes out to center ice. Dallas Drake lays it back into the Rangers zone. 9.5 remaining here in period number 3. A 1-1 hockey game. Here is Gretzky. He's got Driver with some speed. He hits him. Driver going wide. Puts it right to the goal mouth. Knocked away by Javi Bullen. As it starts to open up a bit here going end-to-end. Roenick back into the Rangers zone. Drop pass. Browning in front. Looking for Gartner. And the play just didn't quite connect. And Sundstrom able to clear it back to Gretzky. Quickly gave it up to Adam Graves. Graves to Gretzky, and that play offside. Let's send it downstairs to Brian Engblom. Brian?
Dave and Bill, you guys have pointed out how tough it's been for power forward Keith Tkachuk in this hockey game. The Rangers have done a terrific job against him. He's a guy who likes to carry the puck wide through the neutral zone. He has not had any room to do that whatsoever. He's been cut off at every turn. So as a result of that, he's been confined to very small spaces. This is not where you want your power forward to be. Only a couple of times has he had any type of room at all to work his way in towards Mike Richter. He's had to use his common sense and his hockey sense in order to get any kind of chances at all. That's our men in the speed stick spotlight.
But he's so hard to defend against because he's got the full repertoire. He's got the hands, he's got the smarts, and he's got the power. It looks like he might have a bad hand right now. I think Jeff Bukaboom stood right up on him. They don't want to back in and let him come to the net because he's also got a good shot. And if you back in, they'll just rip it by you.
Jeff Finley, former member of the Coyotes, now with the Rangers, dumps it in, and it'll be Jay Moore, a former New York Ranger, now with Phoenix, sending it right back out. Moore plays it ahead. Yolonen had to wait to stay outside, drops it to Moore. Moore makes a move, poked away by Lickster, picked up now by Kirkham. A shot and an easy stop there for Richter. With 8.5 remaining here in the 3rd period, each team has a power play goal in this game. Phoenix scoring theirs off the stick of Dallas Drake in the 1st. The Rangers with Brian Leetch in the 2nd. It stays 1-1. 1-1 our score here in Phoenix, and as we've mentioned several times, everybody in action. So let's get back to the Bud Ice scoreboard. Blues, big win over the Red Wings, 4-1 in St. Louis earlier today. Dallas just keeps rolling 3-1. They get to 80 points. That's incredible. Kings, look at their record in the last 11 with a victory over Anaheim. Flames 3-2 over the Oilers. And the Sharks and Canucks getting underway in just a few minutes.
Trying to get the fans revved up here with a little welcome to the jungle, but it hasn't been like a jungle last little while. It's been like a jungle with too many vines to cut through. It's been tough and tight.
Eastwood for the Rangers, backs it off the boards, hops over the stick of Diddick and Newman, and that have been easily the busiest defense pair for the Coyotes tonight. Dallas straight.
Oh, man, Keith Tkachuk went down again. That time, Ulf Samuelsson took him down, but I think Keith Tkachuk thinks he has Lance Roberts looking for a call, so he's trying to give him an excuse to call a penalty against the Rangers.
Dallas straight now. Tried to play it off the boards, but it was blocked by Sundstrom, and the Coyotes forced to back up into their own zone. Center ice for Janney. Before he can get going very far, there's two Rangers right there.
The Rangers with that trap. Great neutral zone presence for the Rangers, and I really like the fact that they've gone to a trap. They're not fast enough to forecheck. They're not big enough to drive the net and be a second-chance hockey team. They're a good counter team. Go to the trap. I like it.
Norm McIver just coming off the bench. Missed the last couple of games so that he could be with his dad, Norm Sr. His mom, Julie's watching tonight. Norm obviously back in the lineup, but wanted us to pass along best wishes to his dad, who has been fighting, Bill, quite a battle over the last 11 years.
Fighting a respiratory ailment. He worked in grain elevators, and from breathing in all the dust has a respiratory ailment. And actually 11 years ago, they gave Norm Sr. a couple years to live. So the fight continues now 11 years later. Just keep it going.
And young Norm McIver, who has the puck, plans on taking his kids so that they can see their grandfather during the Olympic break. 1-1 our score here, and a chance for the Rangers coming, but that pass had a little bit too much steam on it for Mike Keane to be able to collect. Here is Stevens with it. Stevens wheels it back in behind Hobby Bull, and LaFontaine goes back to Mike Keane. Now it's picked up by LaFontaine again, deep in the Coyote zone. Warnick intercept, put it right out of the stick of LaFontaine, who fakes a shot, tried to put it across to Stevens. And the pass was deflected as Warnick dumps it back in behind Richter.
Oh, man, Brian Leetch ever get buried. But did you hear the good communication? Brian Leetch yelling, leave it, leave it, leave it. He didn't want Mike Richter to play that one.
Malone had it slapped away. The puck in the corner. Aaron Shannon, number 34, is right in your face trying to dig it out of there. Now it's picked up by Leetch. Hands it off for Johan Lindbaum, and Lindbaum will stride to the red line and didn't quite get there as he was slowed down by Jay Moore, and that's going to be an icing call. 6:29 remaining here in the third. Let's go back to our studios and Steve Levy.
Dave, it's a good time. Always a good time for the 1-800-COLLECT. Great save of the night from Detroit's game against St. Louis. Grant Fuhr on Brendan Shanahan. Let's see it again. You know nobody gets rid of the puck faster than Shanahan. Grant Fuhr beats him and the Red Wings. Guys.
Well, you'll get to see if Brendan Shanahan can solve the guy there pictured above him, John Van Beesbrook, in our next National Hockey Night telecast after the break. 7:30 Eastern, Friday, February 27th. Panthers and the Red Wings here on ESPN.
Mike Gardner had a pretty good forecheck going. Remember I said Brian Leetch was yelling, leave it, leave it, leave it. I wondered if right about now he thought that was the right command to give to Mike Richter. He looks like he's all right. And Brian Leetch missed a couple of games. He had a pretty good Ironman streak going, but he ended up with a compressed nerve in his right leg, and he couldn't feel his ankle and his foot when he'd wake up in the morning, so he missed a couple, but he's back now. His fourth game back tonight.
They played 346 consecutive. The captain of the Rangers, who will be a very important part of Team USA. That tournament, incidentally, starting February the 13th. USA starts off with a nice draw with Sweden.
Perfect, he says, jokingly.
Bill Berg steps in to take the draw against that man, Bob Corkum. Face-off deep in the Rangers zone. Coyotes have had the best of the face-off, but the Rangers get to this one. Look out, one of our officials, the referee, Lance Roberts, took a tumble. Jumped back to his feet quickly. Now Finley, under some pressure from Darren Shannon, able to move it to Doug Lidster. Lidster gets it to Berg, and it's out to center ice. Darren Quinn recovers there to Jay Moore. Now for Yelona, number 36. He flips it into the Rangers zone. It's knocked down by Lidster. Clears it right out to center ice. Lindbaum has it there. Johan Lindbaum wraps it behind Hobby Bullen, who was letting his teammates know where the puck was going, and then he wasn't going to go back and play it. Yelona moves it around for Darren Shannon. Boogaboo pinched up, and Samuelson had to hustle over. Playing in front of the Coyote bench, where he was roughed up a bit by Bob Corkum. back to get it, and this will be an icing call against the Rangers. Well, a lot of these players here tonight learned their trade in the American Hockey League, and we've got the AHL All-Star Classic over on ESPN2 this coming Wednesday night, February 11th. It'll be 7:30 Eastern Time, 4:30 Pacific. Highlights planned this year include the miking of Team Canada starting goaltender Norm Miracle and USA backstop Brian Boucher. So that and much more coming your way over on the Deuce, the American Hockey League All-Star Classic.
Speaking of All-Stars, there's one right there, Keith Tkachuk. You know, radio station here had a week-long poll, fans calling in, who's the best player for any team, including college teams, here in Phoenix, and Keith Tkachuk won over Jake Plummer of the Phoenix Cardinals and Kevin Johnson, Jason Kidd of the Suns. They love him here.
Well, what's not to like with, as you said, the guy that's got the complete package. That says something for how quickly, though, the Coyotes have made an impact in this market. I mean, the Phoenix Suns have been around for a long, long time, and they're having a great season. Newman now for the Coyotes, plays at center ice. Janney backhands it for Dallas Drake. Good job by Tkachuk to stay outside there. Driver separating Dallas Drake, though, from the puck. Janney trying to dig in there and recover it. Leach puts it now to Graves. Gretzky breaking ahead. Graves carries into the Phoenix zone, but it's slapped away. And here's Tkachuk with it. He's got some room up the left side. Tkachuk runs up, drives the shot, just missed. Low glove side against Richter. Back the other way. Graves with a chance. Javi Bolin just picked that off the top of his pad, and then LaFontaine, who was being ridden into the area by the defenseman Norm McCarver. They bowl over Javi Bolin.
Well, he can't have a problem with Pat LaFontaine, even though he was lying on his back looking at him. Pat LaFontaine, I'm sure, as he was going by, said, yeah, but look what's following me. It's your guy. And actually might have been pushed in. You know, I love listening to the linesmen. We don't get to hear them enough. And they're pretty good. This is Jay Shearers moments ago. Had something to say to a couple of Rangers.
Come on, boys. This isn't baseball. We're not having a meeting on the mound here. Let's go. Let's go, Brian.
Was there not a meeting on the mound? Right. What he said, but this isn't baseball.
Well, one thing we learned from talking with Jay Shearers and Darren Gibbs and Lance Roberts before the game, these guys are big fans of the sport.
Yeah.
You know, talking to them about some of the proposed rule changes that were discussed here in Phoenix at the recent general managers meeting, and to a man they all said, hey, if it's going to help the sport, we're in favor of it.
Exactly, and they're not pushing their own agendas as much as they are wanting to be advocates for the sport.
Puck is cleared to center ice by the Coyotes, and that puck out of play. Well, let's take a look at our Beazle storyline. The record in one-goal games, the Rangers are 6-10. The Coyotes have fared a little bit better. Again, Richter in the last 7 games against this franchise has been perfect. Janney with 1 assist tonight now with a 5-game point streak.
Our Visa replay is about the traffic in Phoenix. Traffic on the ice. You know the guys dressed in the respective jerseys are going to be part of it, but sometimes even guys like Jay Shearers end up in a little bit of a traffic jam. Real passion for the sport, too, when we were talking to them. Talked to them, too, about the 2-referee system. Lance Roberts was involved in 3 experimental games. He said, you know what he noticed? The focus of the players went back to playing and not trying to commit infractions and cheat. And the pace of the game really seemed to pick up. I mean, he loved it from that standpoint. He thinks the entertainment value of the game will go way up if we end up going to 2 refs and 2 linesmen.
Well, obviously the referees would like it because it would mean more job opportunities, but as that puck goes out of play, Lance Roberts was also quick to point out, said, hey, you know, we're going to have enough qualified referees in order to fill the bill with 2 referees at every National Hockey League game, and Jay Shearers was also in agreement with this man on the fact that, yes, the focus of the players will change. And that's for the better of the entertainment value.
You know, there's another set of eyes behind you as well as in front of you, or on the left side and the right side. It made all the sense in the world, and I didn't know that was anybody's perception of how a 2-referee system would impact the game.
First reaction that I had was, is there enough room on the ice for 4 more, or 1 more body, so 4 officials instead of 3? But most of the officials that have been involved in those games, Bill, said that's not been a problem. Lindbaum with a big hit on Jay Moore as the Rangers try to get the forecheck going here on the Coyotes zone with Darren Quinn. To Tkachuk. Center ice now for Dallas Drake. Drake tries to go back to Tkachuk, but he was all tied up. And Tkachuk immediately looking at Lance Roberts.
Well, he's still looking for that call. That's the same spot he went down moments ago when I talked about Ulf Samuelsson taking him down.
Here's Tkachuk with a chance. Save made by Richter. He juggled for a moment, but has it in the glove.
Now, Keith Tkachuk will probably go over and talk directly to Lance Roberts, and that's what he's doing. And Lance Roberts is patrolling the far side of the ice when the play comes this way. At least he was on the 2 plays in question that Tkachuk is talking about, especially the last one. So Lance Roberts has a bunch of people to look through.
Oh, there it is. He said he had my stick.
See where he was looking, though, to yell at Lance Roberts was on the far side of the ice. It's tough to be on both sides of the ice at the same time. From our U.S. Army goal cam, this was the Tkachuk chance when he finally did forget about yapping at Lance Roberts for a penalty and get the shot away, but it was a sharp angle one that Mike Richter gobbled up pretty easily.
Coyotes win the draw. Diddick shot. That deflects off a player and forces Richter to make a tough glove save.
Boy, who'd that hit? It looked like he hit somebody. He hit Yolonen up high. Or was he? Oh, no, Shannon. Darren Shannon. He was dabbing at the side of his face. I thought it hit somebody up near the face or on the helmet. Another Phoenix win on the faceoff. Whoa.
Well, the Rangers have to do something about this discrepancy.
Well, especially in their own zone. Let's see what happens.
2:57 left in regulation. 1-1 our score. Eastwood back to play it. Shannon steps into him. Here's Yolonen with it, but not for long. Now Yolonen got a stick on it again. Shannon plays it along the board. He's chasing after it, tried to send it back to the line. It bounced off of Corkum. All the way down where Howie Bullen will have to play it. Sends it up the left wing side. Darren Shannon dumps it in behind Richter. He takes a look, decides not to handle it, but did get in the way of Yolonen. Diddick pinches down. Here's Yolonen, checked by Driver. Jeremy Roenick tried to put it in front for Newman, and that was blocked. Yolonen again along the board. Takes it out near the blue line. Hands it back off to Shannon. Leach steps into him. Shannon works it along the boards, getting some help now from Roenick. Roenick picks it out of the crowd. Now rigged to the boards by Adam Graves. Play continues to move. Referee Lance Roberts is right there. He's not going to blow the whistle. Yolonen tied up by Driver. Puck comes free again. Roenick out to the point. Good job by Diddick to hold it in. And he played it up high on the glass. It's recovered by Leach. And it's deflected by Centrum back out center ice. Up the middle with some speed comes Gartner. He almost caught up to that puck. It'll be covered up by Richter.
Yeah, good play by Mike Richter because Phoenix is starting to at least try to turn the forecheck up, and they're having some success. But Jeremy Roenick has had about one knee injury too many. See his left knee, you might be able to notice that his left knee looks a little bigger than the right knee. It's because he's wearing a brace on it. First time in his career. But it's a result of a third injury of the medial collateral ligament. Ted Drury from Anaheim hit him in the playoffs last year. That was a third crack on that knee. So Roenick came in this season having to wear the knee brace, and it took him at least 2 months, he said this morning, to get used to it. Now he doesn't even know it's there. That's a tough adjustment. Can't imagine what it's like to play when you've got something that's dragging you down. You're thinking about it. It doesn't feel right. He has finally adjusted, and his knee is stable because of it.
Last couple of times we've had him either on the deuce or here on National Hockey Night. I mean, he really is skating like the Jeremy Roenick of old. Doesn't seem to be bothered at all.
No, there's just not as much room out there as there used to be.
Ronning dumps it back. McIver gets the shot away. He didn't miss by much. High on the stick side. Finley gets to it for the Rangers. Puts it up on the glass, and that climbs over the glass and out of play. We're down to 1:23 left in regulation.
You know, we've seen Phoenix launch some great shots on their power play from the blue line, and a guy that really has a great shot, Oleg Tverdovsky. I'd never taken a close look at his stick until today, and now I'm even more amazed at his shot. That blade, look at it. Wow. Straight. There's no curve in it. It's tilted back a little bit. I wondered if he could even raise the puck, because I sure as hell couldn't when I had a stick like that, unless my stick was open like a 7-iron. He said, "Are you kidding? I can shoot it over the glass anytime I want." And he's used it since the time he was a kid, never had a curve in his stick, and he doesn't understand how guys play with curves in his stick. But that's a throwback. Hardly anybody in today's game plays with a straight blade stick.
Should make it better on the backhand anyway. Tverdovsky with it, goes to the net, just wide of Richter.
Now Keene being pressured by Tkachuk, who waved that stick dangerously high. Tkachuk forces it back to the point. McIver to the net. Richter, oh, he's run over. Score! Richter was bowled over by Roenick.
He was taken out by Jeremy Roenick, and Roenick was sitting right on his keister in the crease when this goal was
I was going to
scored.
say he was on top of Richter, and they're both in the crease when that puck goes in the net, and immediately Jay Sherris is coming over and telling the referee, Lance Roberts, you got to look at this.
But it'll be a matter of did anybody push Jeremy Roenick in, and I didn't see anybody push him in, Dave. I was kind of watching the play out of the point and glancing back in. There's no question Roenick kind of steamrolled Richter. There's no question that he was in the crease. He was lying in the crease when the goal was scored. Now, they haven't called a goaltender interference penalty, so I think the Coyotes might have dodged a bullet on this one. Let's see. All right, watch when Roenick goes from left to right out of the corner. Watch. There he goes. Whoa. Well, that's a heck of a call, because you know what? The puck was coming to him. That's why he was focused on his skates. He wasn't even looking at Mike Richter, so he wasn't trying to steamroll him. He was trying to control the puck. How do you call this one? I don't know how you call this one.
Well, it can't be a goal because he was in the crease before the puck got there, even if there was no intent.
Exactly. Nobody pushed him in. You're right. Nobody pushed him in. Norm McIver was the guy that tried to get it to him. Mind you, Mike Richter was a good 4 feet outside of his crease when Roenick hit him.
I don't know why this should take any length of time.
But he went into the crease of his own volition. Nobody pushed him in. Yeah. Well,
oh, you know what?
What?
Jeremy Roenick came away from the glass going, yeah, he thought it was a goal.
And that's why everybody cheered here, wasn't it? I heard a cheer go up, and I was a little confused there, too. The PA was saying no goal, and everybody was going, yeah. Said he pushed me in. I think I just saw him say, push me in. JR, you can't sell that one. There was nobody around you. Oh, there was the reaction. No! Yeah! No! You said yeah. You say goodbye. I say hello.
Right. So that is no goal with 1:06 remaining here in regulation time, and no question about the call from everything we looked at. Well, that was a tough one that was taken away from Rod Brindamore and the Flyers in Colorado earlier today. And I mean, that was a case of a guy obviously aware that he was approaching the blue paint, trying to stay out. Actually had his left foot off the ice, but the overhead showed that his body was Lindros was breaking the plane.
Can't break the plane. Doesn't fly so well.
Well, this faceoff coming outside the Rangers zone. We still have a 1-1 hockey game. Tkachuk sends it deep. Richter. Samuelson around the boards. Did it, trying to hold it in, could not. Here is Janney with it. Hands it off to Tkachuk, down to Roenick. He did get out of the zone. Roenick right back. Schoenfeld going with Janney, Roenick, and Tkachuk. He's got his offense out there, and here's Newman. Sending it up along the boards. It comes down. Centering attempt there by Tkachuk. Intercepted by Gretzky. Moves it quickly. Center ice. Sundstrom. He's got Graves, Gretzky, and Samuelson coming late. It comes to Gretzky. Drives the shot. Bobby Bull in the save. Juggles for a moment, but he covers up.
Boy, the Rangers had it going their way. Al Samuelson was up in the play, and Craig Janney has had his stick pulled out of his hands by Wayne Gretzky, and he was trying to fend off a Ranger player in front. But Hobby Bullen was able to swallow up that shot by Wayne Gretzky. But Janney was coming up the ice with Wayne Gretzky, and Wayne just pulled the stick right out of his hands. Janney's been a real favorite of Jim Schoenfeld. You might have thought that he wouldn't have been his kind of player. There it is right there. Gretz taking the stick away. But Jim Schoenfeld said today that Craig Janney, he's given me everything he's got on both sides of the puck, offensively and defensively.
28.3 seconds remaining here in the third period.
One of the things we've been tracking is where this game has been played. Time in the defensive zone The Rangers have been in their defensive zone 20 minutes and 35 seconds. The Coyotes only 17:32. Now, that's what Jim Schoenfeld wanted. He didn't want to be on the bad side of that number. He didn't want it lopsided. He said if the Rangers played a lot on our end, they may be in trouble. His defenseman would probably be in trouble. That hasn't happened. The Rangers, I don't think, have got much of a forecheck going at all. But that's why they've gone to the trap. They don't have the personnel to be a good forechecking team.
Obviously, another important face-off, this time deep in the Coyotes' end. And again, Phoenix wins it cleanly. Numminen being pressured by Stevens. Stevens takes him hard to the boards. Mike Keenan there as well for the Rangers. Shannon tries to fire it back behind his net, successful in doing so. You see the time remaining in regulation. Comes to Dallas Drake. Drake plays it ahead, but it is blocked by Keene. And the Coyotes send it back into the Rangers zone. Here is Driver with it. He'll take a hit as he plays it around the boards, and that's going to do it for 60 minutes of regulation. So each team with a goal in the game. The Coyotes got theirs in the first. The Rangers theirs in the second. And the young fans are going to have to wait and see if this can be settled in overtime.
A major play moments ago when Jeremy Roenick ended up in the crease as the puck entered the net. And as Lance Roberts, the referee, was checking upstairs, the veteran Jay Shears had this to say to Darren Gibbs.
One guy. As far as we're concerned, the goal is disallowed, okay? What he's doing is he's just checking upstairs because they already made the announcement in terms of reviewing it, okay? There's no question the guy was in there before.
The veteran linesman talking to the rookie linesman.
Well, we are underway here in overtime. The Rangers have played 17 overtime games. They have 2 losses and 15 ties. The Coyotes 0-1 and 10, so neither one of these teams has managed to win in overtime. Chopped at aggressively by Graves, unable to get it out of there. And here comes Bruce Driver to chase it down. Deflected by Gretzky to center ice. Bob Corkum is there, tries to hand it off to Diddick. As you look at the records of these two clubs in overtime, it comes down to Graves. He's surrounded by 3 Phoenix players, makes the play there to Gretzky. Gretzky elite pass for Sundstrom to the backhand, and he couldn't get a shot away. Sundstrom tried to roll it in front, and that was blocked. Gretzky gets to it. Gretzky trying to spin away from Diddick. Diddick staying strong with it. Diddick pushes it along the boards. It'll be picked up and cleared out to center ice. Rangers quickly recover it there. Samuelson drives it right back into the Coyote zone. Here is Janney with it. Janney sends it deep into the Ranger zone.
Same matchup as we've seen this entire game. All Samuelson, Jeff Bukaboom out there against the Janney-Kachuk tandem.
McIver plays it around the boards. Kachuk will get there, forcing Bruce Driver to back up. And the Ranger defenseman plays it out of Mike Keene. Keene trying to get his way through, and Javi Bullen forced to cover that one up. Not dangerous in terms of the shot, Bill, but certainly if he doesn't control that cleanly, the Rangers were all around.
And you know what? This isn't the kind of game that Nikolai Hovey-Bullen likes. I mean, he has said time and time again, I'd much rather have 35 shots than 25 shots. Well, how do you think he'd like to have 16 shots? Because that's all the Rangers have on him. And, you know, the Rangers are not giving themselves much of a chance to score goals when they only get 16 shots. They're not a good second chance team. They don't drive the net for rebounds really well. Adam Graves does. Bill Berg does. But that's not the way the majority of their forwards play. So you give a guy like Hovey-Bullen 16 shots, that's all, and you're not a good second chance team. How are you going to generate offense? You don't.
Aaron Quinn back behind his own net, tied up by Johan Lindbaum. Now it is cleared to the boards by Jay Moore and out to center ice. In front of the Phoenix bench, here is Roenick. Took a hit from Lindbaum. Puck is picked up by Ronning. Ronning fakes the shot on Bukaboom. Ronning lets the shot go, and a save made by Richter. Puck was high up on the glass. And it's recovered now by Bill Berg. He'll slide it across. Bukaboom moving up, plays it back into the Coyote zone. Here is Gartner with it, trying to flip it ahead. It was blocked by Sundstrom. He hands it off now to Gretzky. Gretzky has Graves going to the net. Cross-ice pass for Leach. Leach with a shot. He hit the goal post. Hit the goal post to the right of Hovey-Bullen.
Boy, Colin Campbell going for the win. Wayne Gretzky's line just went off. There was one other shift, and they're right back out there.
Gretzky hands it off. Leach will pick it up. Leach again sends it toward the net, steered aside by Javi Bullen, and the puck cleared by Roenick. And this is going to be an icing call.
Boy, I like Colin Campbell's style here. I mean, he wants to go into the break with a win under their belts for the New York Rangers. Struggled so mightily this season. And he had Leach out there with the Gretzky line, not one time, but a double shift. They went off and just rested for one rotation, and he came right back out, and Leach hit the post. This is why Wayne Gretzky is so dangerous. If he gets time along the half boards with that little stop move or that button hook move, very often Brian Leach is coming in the other side, and that looked like it might have gone off Javi Bullen's stick, the shaft of his stick, and then the post. Leach had it pegged.
Brian Leach, third among all NHL defensemen for those 14 goals. Newman plays it ahead. Ilonen rolled it up toward the Ranger zone. Sundstrom hands it off down to Bukaboom. Bukaboom to the red line. Plays it in deep. Newman will get back there. Under 2 minutes remaining in the overtime. Aaron Shannon snaps it across. Bob Corkum trying to catch up to her. They got Samuelson backing up. Drop pass now for Ilonen. Ilonen shot save. Richter. Rebound sent to the boards by Samuelson. Recovered by Shannon. Tried to bounce it back out to Corkum, who had the gun cocked and ready to go.
Dave, the last minute and a half will be interesting because Samuelson and Bukaboom are now going off. They were not out there against Keith Tkachuk. A little bit of daylight out there for him. Now let's see what he can do with it.
He's out against the Leach-Driver combination as the puck held in by the Coyotes. Leach recovered to slap the puck to the corner. He'll go get it himself. Plays it along the boards. Kevin Stevens able to clear. Dallas Drake out there just ahead of LaFontaine. Now here's Leach with it. Leach going cross ice. Stevens could not get control of it. In fact, the other way comes Tkachuk. He hands it off down to Timonovsky. Timonovsky between the circles trying to control. Tkachuk was tackled.
Kevin Stevens came back and was back checking like a crazed Ranger, which he had to be on the play because Tkachuk had about a 5-foot lead on him.
Don't forget, Rich Eisen, Dave Rapson will be joining us with SportsCenter immediately after our National Hockey Night coverage. Both teams trying to complete line changes as Newman lifts that puck into the crowd with 40.5 left.
See, Keith Tkachuk got taken down on the play, and tell you what, a couple of times he's had a pretty good beat because the Rangers, you have to play him that way, and they have played him hard. I don't know if it was Kevin Stevens' stick. They went down on a pile, but here's Stevens coming back on him. Well, Tkachuk took a poke at him. What gets him? Oh, wow. Wow, the skate? What could that have been worse? If he's only got a nick on his nose, he is one lucky human being because skates are unforgiving. You get hit in the face with a skate with any kind of push and oomph behind it, you got a major plastic surgery job.
Yep. Boy. You're right. He is lucky. That's all there is.
When he gets to Nagano, they'll know he's not a luge guy.
Oh, one of the worst I ever saw like that was Borja Salming in Detroit when Gerard Gallant's skate hit him in a pileup in the crease. I mean, it was one of the worst injuries that I've ever seen. But Keith Tkachuk is perhaps very lucky that the toe of the blade of Kevin Stevens only caused that little nick. A guy that's been in the battles before is Brian Engblom. Brian?
Well, Dave, we saw Wayne Gretzky set up Brian Leach for the only shot to hit the goalpost in this overtime so far, but that's Wayne Gretzky's stick in the foreground. Look how low the lie is. It's about a 4 or 4.5, and that's because it really suits Wayne's skating style. He's always way bent over. We showed you Brian Leach early in the game. Look how far over Wayne is bent. His game is all about angles. Look how far over on the edges he gets. His hands are low, and the puck is often very far away from his body. That's the way Wayne has always played the game. Like Keith Tkachuk tonight, he has had almost no room through the neutral zone. He's had to play the game in small spaces as well. That's our men in speed stick spotlight, guys.
All right, Brian, thanks very much.
I think that timeout gave Keith Tkachuk one more gasp and one more chance here to get some offense going.
He is right back out there along with Roenick and Corkum, but Sundstrom intercepts and flips it back the other way. It is taken now by Newman. Newman plays it ahead, intercepted, but
there's a trap. I'll tell you what, the Rangers are executing it really well there. Instead of going for the forecheck, just hanging back in the neutral zone, looking for the counterattack.
Well, the Coyotes flip it into the Ranger zone. It'll be cleared out of there. And Javi Bullen will likely be the last to handle the puck. Now he hands it off to Newman and out to center ice. And that'll do it. Our final score in overtime here in Phoenix. The Coyotes won and the Rangers won. Well, standing by back in our National Hockey Night studio, Steve Levy and Barry Melrose. Guys?
All right, guys, nice job.